Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and those beyond the binary. This is The Between. Welcome. I am Alexander Rubitsky, and I will be the keeper for this gothic tale. My hunters may introduce themselves.
Hi there, my name is Wes Franks. I am the founder and creative director of Caring Comfort Studios, a Twitch stream here on the internet as well. My pronouns are he, they, and for this evening I am playing Grappling Ross Fontenot, the American.
Hello everyone. My name is Meg. My pronouns are she, her, and I am currently a DM's Guild author specializing in the Eberron setting. Tonight I'll be playing Carla Holst, the Undeniable, for you all tonight.
Hello, my name is Jordan, or Upgraded Moon. I am a voice actor and stage actor as well as a composer, and today I'm going to be playing the Mad Dr. Murdock.
Hi guys, my name is Shelby, or Whistle, or Shooby-Dooby-Doo. I'm a D&D player, a live D&D player, and a regular player over on Roll for Damage, where I play over with Wes in a World of Darkness game ran by Rogue Uzu, or Kelsey. And tonight I'll be playing Pura Rivia, our legacy.
Excellent. Before we begin, we have a few things to get out of the way first. Some thanks and announcements at the start. As always, special thanks to Session Zero Clothing and Accessories, Tabletop Streetwear, and gear, swag, whatever you want to call it. It's great. You can go check them out at session-zero.com. With promo code FAILSAFE, you can get 10% off your order. They got great shirts. I have one. It's like a lich with a D20 that says, "I am your master." It's a very cool shirt. They also have great stickers, so you can decorate your laptops, your bottles, whatever. Check them out. They're great. Also, Meg, I believe you had an announcement you wanted to throw out there, at least something to say at the top of the show.
Yes, I do. As I noted in a couple streams ago, I am part of a DM's Guild charity bundle for Doctors Without Borders in support of the current war in Ukraine. After courting with Wizards of the Coast, all of the fees have been waived. 100% of the money is going towards charity, so please check those out. Those are ending very, very soon, both on DM's Guild and Drive Through RPG. I'll provide some links in the chat.
Excellent. Thank you, Meg. Additionally, as of the time of this broadcast going live, Critical Failsafe here on Twitch has hit affiliate, which means we've unlocked a bunch of neat, nifty features that I'm still trying to figure out how the hell they work. But if you'd like to show your support for the show, as always, we have a coffee linked below where you can donate to the channel or the cast. We also now have a Stream Elements donation link set up. It's in the panels down below this here on Twitch. You can just follow that to donate to the channel. All the proceeds get divided among the cast. So hey, support us. We are continually looking to improve the content we're bringing to you guys. So, hey, every little bit helps. With all of that said at the top, before we get into the game itself, since we had a rather long session last time, we wanted to do stars and wishes at the start of this show, since we missed them at the end of last. So we'll do this very quickly, and then we'll go into this evening's chapter of The Between. So, from the previous episode, Hunters, stars and wishes. We'll just go down in the same order. Oh, actually, okay, never mind. Break in the order. We're going to go with Jordan instead. I love it. No, I love it. Go with it. Go with it.
Yeah, no, honestly, the biggest star that I had was just that I fucking love the creative process that comes with us figuring out the threat and what to do about it. Like once we're sitting down, like when I played like some Brindlewood Bay before too, it was also just super fucking fun. Like we felt like detectives, like figuring it out as if like there was an already present answer that we were just kind of getting to. I loved that. I thought that was so cool. I thought it was just it gets better every time, and my wish is that I can't fucking wait until we do that again. Like I just can't fucking wait. Can't wait.
Thank you very much. Who would like to go next?
I'll go.
Excellent.
My star. I like to give stars to everybody because I'm very unable to make decisions. But I definitely would like to go to just the other cast members, the three of y'all during the whole seance scene and everything like that, of how tight we were all keeping it and playing off of each other and everything like that, and keeping it moving and everything. The pacing was really good. Even though it was a long episode, the pacing was real good. And that's, that is not the easiest thing to do on a stream show. And then my wishes is I wish we could. I want to see more of Cal's backstory. I want to see more of what makes Cal Cal. Why are you talking to that bag, homie? I mean, I know why we're talking to that bag, but why? What is this all for? What's going on?
In due time, my friend. In due time. Yes.
I think for my star, I'm gonna have to go with the unseen. The unseen was just really, really nice and tight for everyone involved. Lots of really good pullbacks to everything that happened during session. And I think that my wish is probably to see how this next day phase is going, because I have a feeling we're going to be doing quite a few different vulnerable moves with how many conditions this band of buckos has got.
It might behoove you to do so. Excellent. And Shelby.
Well, sorry, I can't figure out how to unmute my mic. So I think again, I have to be Wes and also extend stars to the whole cast. Mostly because this is one of the most natural dynamics I've ever fallen into a game. Like, we all bounce off of each other really, really well. And it really showed during that whole detective, like, answering the question stage. That was so fun. I know it's already been said, but that was so fun. And it only extends to how we do the unseen and how we do the paint the scenes. We all have a good, like, way that we click. We have good chemistry. And this might be a weird wish, but I want to see a vulnerable move with Cal. I don't care who, I just want to see someone do it with Cal.
In due time.
I love it. And then lastly, I'll give mine. So I take the same approach as Wes here, as I like to give stars to everyone individually. And I'm trying to say, so let's see, Jordan coming with the bag idea, talking to the bag was an extremely creative way of answering that Dawn question. I loved that. That was a great way to get that out of the way. Also just kind of peels back those layers of the Mad Dr. Murdock you were talking about. I liked how, Wes, you played the drained condition really coming into play during the seance. Like that the whole entertaining the audience and then like turning away and having these like moments of like actual like exhaustion was pretty great.
So fucking good.
As
so
always,
good.
Meg
So
is
much.
utterly alluring as Carla Holst and terrifying at the same time. We absolutely love to see it.
It's only gonna get worse.
I know, absolutely. And honestly, Shelby, taking point on the ritual itself and not getting into an all-out fight with a ghost was a surprising but cool twist of what happened. And so I
How the fuck do you fight the ghost with swords?
Very difficult.
The legacy is one of the few people who can.
It's true.
So that's it. And then my wishes are obviously let's keep unraveling this tapestry and see what twisted horrors lay between the threads. So I think with all that said, we're going to hop on over to the intro and we're going to come back and we will begin this week's chapter of The Between. So stay tuned. We will be right back. welcome back. So, previously on the Between, our hunters had begun investigating the Limehouse Lurker, a series of murders in the Limehouse Docks district perpetuated by a vampire in the body of a child, though whether it is actually a child or much older has yet to be decided. Additionally, our hunters resolved the 18 St. James's Street haunting by figuring out that the ghost of the master, an elderly landowner from a previous era, had accidentally murdered a maid, a servant in his home that he was having an affair with, and the two ghosts simultaneously were haunting that house, and the master's ghost was the hostile one responsible for the acts lately. So our hunters committed a quieting ritual that, in practice, allowed the secrets of the house to be revealed, and in doing so, send this ghost spirit to be dormant. During the seance, you invited several members of society, including Constance Head, who had more than a few things to say about it, and also in attendance was Theodora Brathwaite, who is still relatively new to you all, but there is something coming with that. And once all was said and done, you resolved the threat. Each of you took a reward from resolving a threat, whether it was a jar of ectoplasm or a small hand mirror with the visage of the ghost always in it. Our hunters laid that one to rest. You also all advanced. You all took an advancement. Had enough experience to finally level up there. And so going around really quickly, let's hear what everyone's advancement was. And if you don't want to read the whole move text, you can just kind of summarize what it means. So Wes, why don't you lead us with what you picked for Ross?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good American moves, and I even thought about upping my dice rolls or like my attributes, but I like to get a lot of moves first to showcase some things and just let the dice roll bonuses come later. And I decided to go with a very cool one called The Awakened Soul. You are sensitive to the desires and behaviors of animals. When you encounter an animal, you may ask the keeper, "What does this animal want me to do?" The keeper will answer truthfully and completely. When I act on the answer, pursue a course of action in which an intuitive understanding of an animal's behavior would be helpful. Any associated rolls are taken with advantage. So huge get.
Excellent.
Yeah, for clue finding.
Yeah, absolutely. Meg, what did you pick for Carla?
So, most of the Undeniables moves, one way or another, interact with her masterwork, her thing keeping her immortal and youthful and beautiful. And so, because I promised Xander I would take one of two moves at the very least, I picked Giveth, which essentially allows me to, at the penalty of scarring the masterwork, I'm allowed to essentially pick a character out of the side characters that we know and just say, they're one of mine. I'll let you guys figure out what the mechanics do later on.
Yes, indeed. Love that. Jordan, what did you pick for Dr. Murdock?
So I picked out the lovely move called Night Work. When not engaged in the hunt with your colleagues at Hargrave House, you spend your nights doing house calls, helping Scotland Yard examine corpses dragged from the river, and of course, working on the child. During the dusk phase, you can say that you're going to go do night work, in which case you take no action during the night phase. Instead, as a player, you are solely responsible for each prompt on the unseen, and then choose 3 from the list below during the dawn phase that follows. I can find a clue that can be used for a future threat. I acquire a body part for the child, or I find a keepsake. I can pick 3 out of those options, and I can pick getting the child's body parts more than once, so I could, in fact, speed run it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
That's no fun, is it?
It's your decision. Depends on how close Dr. Murdock's clock comes to ticking, I suppose.
I like to drag things out. I like taking my time. We'll see.
Indeed. And last but certainly not least, Shelby, what did you choose for Pyrrha? Did it muted your
Hey,
mic?
it won't let me unmute, so we're just gonna do it like this.
There we go.
Won't let me push to talk. It's rude. Okay, so I chose Soaked in Blood, which not going into all the mechanics of it means every time I get super violent, I bring a new threat closer to us.
Yes, you do. Excellent. I love that. Well then, let us begin. So, we ended previously with us wrapping up the dusk phase. And I don't believe there was any, dawn phase, I should say. I don't believe, we had no Janus mask prompts to resolve, so we're going to go into the day phase, which always starts with me introducing a new threat that is now active in London. This new threat is called the Creature of Cremorne Gardens. That ever reliable rag, the Illustrated Police News, has lately been carrying stories about the so-called Creature of Cremorne Gardens, sometimes called the Creature of Chelsea Harbor, and more rarely, the Creature of Cheney Walk. The creature, described as a fish-like thing or a fish man, has been terrorizing pleasure seekers from the shadows, giving a fright when glimpsed skulking about, but rarely making direct contact. Men and women alike have been lured to the end of a nearby pier by a strange song while promenading, though with no memory of how they got there once the song's spell ended. All of this could easily be chalked up to hysteria, or perhaps some elaborate hoax by someone who resents Cremorne Gardens, if not for a physical attack upon a young couple, Simon Piedmont and Beulah Thrum. Mr. Piedmont and Miss Thrum described how the creature leapt at them from a crouched position like a cat and tore at Miss Thrum's coat. Scotland Yard is investigating. Dr. Murdock, we'll go with you. You have a connection to Thomas Simpson, the proprietor of Cremorne Gardens, having worked there one summer. What was your job, and what did you do to lose it?
Ooh, good question. I was... You said this is at the gardens?
Cremorne Gardens is essentially a Victorian theme park, essentially. Back then it was, in place of like rides, it would be like, it has like attractions like dancing and bowling and like a hot air balloon, stuff like that. So it's like a what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a pleasure garden, like an experience kind of thing.
Okay. Dr. Murdock was sort of the guy that you kind of like, not necessarily like the nurse of the park, but if someone definitely gets hurt, like he's kind of on the scene that they bring to just kind of like to make sure that they're okay and good to go.
Well, like on-call medical aid, essentially, like.
Essentially, it's kind of like the fire watch for
summer job
children at
while
this
you
point.
were still like a med student or something.
Yeah. How he got fired, however, was the constable's son was caught stealing from his center. He was stealing from his center, so he reported it. Didn't know that was the constable's son, and promptly got himself fired.
Indeed. Yikes. Well, excellent. So, the Creature of Cremorne Gardens is now an active threat. The questions for that one are similar to the Limehouse Lurker that has a threshold question. So, what you currently have is the creature real or is it a hoax? And that has a complexity of 4. Answer that, and we figure out how to deal with it from there. And yeah, as always, you're always welcome to not investigate a threat if it does not catch your fancy, and, well, there'll be repercussions for that, but you'll be fine. And also, that also gives you guys a new Janus mask prompt, the Mask of Revelry. So, that is on the table. And let's see here. Alrighty. So, with a new threat introduced, Hunters, day phase, what would we like to queue up? What scenes would people like to have? What would you like to do today?
Let's get some vulnerable moves going. Most of us have got a lot of conditions on our plates.
I was about to say, Pierre's gonna try and sneak out and indulge in her vice. Whoever wants to come with is welcome to.
So
yes.
I have a move called the Infirmary. I'm gonna read out this move for everyone, and I would like to leave it open to see who would like to join Mr. Murdock today. You have a well-equipped infirmary inside Hargrave House. Add medical text to your personal quarters. This item can never be marked. When the vulnerable move is triggered in the infirmary, each hunter can clear one additional physical condition. Paint the scene. What do you see that is evidence of how meticulously clean and organized this space is?
We will get to that paint the scene question. This move is super useful, but it does come with a little like a caveat, I guess, which is like, at least from my perspective, everyone but Ross's vice is almost impossible to have in the infirmary unless you're getting weird and wild. And also,
unless someone's dying.
Unless you have like someone over who's dying in your infirmary, in which case, oh hey, there's Carla's vice. But also, Shelby, I will remind you, by the way, that you don't have to do your vice to do the vulnerable move. You're also welcome to go be with somebody else while they're indulging in theirs, and you'll get the same benefits. So it goes both ways.
I guess this move is left open that if you will join the doctor, you can clear 2 conditions.
I don't even think. Let me see. Wait, hold on. I don't even think it says that. It is you need to be with the doctor. Just you've taken that move, so you now have the infirmary in Hargrave House. So I don't even think the move necessarily. I don't think it says that you need to be with Dr. Murdock for that move to work. So anyone, I think
just do it in the infirmary.
As long as, because all it says is when the vulnerable move is triggered in the infirmary, each hunter can start. Yeah. So it seems to me like the wording is just like, as long as you are using the infirmary. Like Dr. Murdock can be there, but like it does not seem like he's like required for the move's resolution, you know?
Oh, okay.
So does anyone want to do opiates with Ross in the infirmary?
I was about to ask, is this information I know about you, Ross, that you
that I imbibe? Let's see.
That you frequent an opium den.
I would say it is very, very. Let's have fun with this. If we're doing this in the infirmary, all right, we've got the infirmary unlocked. I think that it is well known that Ross has some kind of thing that he uses to help keep himself centered and focused, or try to keep something back.
I know what I'm gonna do then. I'm gonna do. Pierre's gonna go up to you and she's gonna say, hey, so I wanted to know if you had a little something that could, keep you a little calm down. Shit happened yesterday. Kind of fucked with me. Trying to keep my head. You got anything?
Well, Pyrrha, I'm not exactly a doctor or anything. I mean,
if I wanted a doctor, I'd go talk to Cal. Okay, he's just going to...
That's why I was curious as to why you were speaking to me and not the good doctor.
Because I don't need his lecture. I just need something.
Are you talking about like Sazerac or something there, Shug?
No, I'm talking about something that's usually a little hazy.
All right, follow me. Keep quiet.
So we have
keep it to yourself.
We have you two wanting to queue up a vulnerable move together. And I'm just looking at your sheets very quickly. I think you only each have one physical related condition each. So if you still wanted to do it in the infirmary, you won't get the benefits of the extra condition removed. But if you want to just go do opium in an opium den, never minding the infirmary, you're also welcome to do that.
I think we don't need the infirmary. But I think it's just Ross is gonna be like, grab a coat, grab your hat, let's go.
Like, hell yeah, and I get to go outside. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. We will get to that vulnerable scene in a minute then. And then Jordan, Meg, any thoughts on, do you two want to engage in a vulnerable move?
I think so.
Sure.
Do you how do I want to do this? Do you want yours or do you want mine?
Well, I cannot go to an open casket funeral in my infirmary. but you certainly can comfort the dying.
You also don't have any physical conditions. I don't think haunted passion is a physical one. I feel like that makes it mental.
I'm fine.
I think only I would say that there's only one physical on Carlos.
Yeah.
Oh, and which one is
Violated's closest?
Violated, I feel like, is the closest physical one.
Okay.
So like again, like infirmary is super good to have if you're taking a beating. I think for now, you're welcome to go anywhere in London to indulge your vices right now, because most of you guys have mental vices.
Yeah. Mental conditions, yeah. So
let's queue up something there.
Yeah, you wanna, dude. You want to head to an open casket funeral, or do you want to come for the dying? I'm chilling with what I have on hand. So.
See, I think Carla's gonna come out, and she's dressed much more modestly today.
Is there an event today?
Not particularly. I'm just every so often I like to pick up volunteer shifts at the hospital.
How so? I didn't know that you were a doctor yourself.
I'm not. But if you're curious, you can come with me.
And he thinks on it for a moment. Oh, it sounds like a wonderful idea. And he will hold out an elbow for you.
And she takes it.
Excellent.
He'll take you to the hospital.
I love that. Yeah, we are starting a day phase with 2 different vulnerable scenes. I am here for it. All right, let's start. Yeah, let's start with Ross and Pyrrha and whatever is going on there. So let's set this up for me. Like, what you went to an opium den. I assume, but though feel free to tell me otherwise. I assume not Jenny Johnston's. Given the
we don't like to mix business with pleasure.
Oh yeah, no, that's not smart.
Come on, yeah.
Excellent. Fantastic. All right. So you find an opium den elsewhere in the city, far away from your currently involved cases, to imbibe and indulge however you see fit. Take it away. Let's have a bit of a vulnerable scene between you two, and then we'll clear conditions, and then I will let Wes choose what comes out of it. So go ahead. Be my guest. Live in the scene.
Ross is going to get a room instead of it being out in the open like most opium dens, just so it is a little bit more comfortable. And Ross has not said anything about where you're going or anything like that. Just like walks in, pulls out a billfold, pays somebody, and you walk into a room, and to set the scene a little bit, there's a table, there are chaise lounge and pillows all over the place. There's like a mini bar. And there's just like a table that just has opium laid out on it. It has pipes. There's like different like parlor lighters. There are matches. There are tinctures. And you just see Ross take off his jacket and his hat and just hang it up and go, make yourself comfortable.
Seems like you're a bit of a regular here, huh? Don't really blame you. This is pretty fucked up work. I wonder how most people can get through it without taking something. And she'll like go and like pour a glass of something and just kind of sit back and swirl the glass in her hand.
There's worse things that you can get involved into. There's well, you can always get involved with fighting or gambling or drinking varnish to try to take the edge off the top. Go grave robbing, whoring. This is safe. It's comforting.
Yeah, it's real fucking safe. Real fucking safe.
Now, what you need to understand is you got to find out what you prefer when you're doing things like this. You've got to figure out exactly what you can handle, and you don't go across that line, because once you cross that line, there's no going back. So, do you prefer to smoke, or would you prefer to ingest or imbibe?
I usually smoke.
All right. And Ross is going to show Pyrrha how to smoke an opium pipe. It's pretty easy. And just go through the whole process of that. And you'll notice that Ross himself, he prefers tinctures. He prefers to drink. It's a more direct route. And sometimes you will see him actually just eat the opium itself, the flower.
Indeed.
Tinctures you can also just put right under your tongue too. So
Exactly.
it's a very rapid way to imbibe.
Discreet. Yeah.
Good way to spend time.
Exactly.
And since this is your did you have something you wanted to say?
No, there is if it is my advice, I would like to invite the other hunter to ask about Ross's past.
Okay. I think as you're
with conversation,
as you're showing her, and she kind of, you've your entire time you've known Pyrrha, she's very like sarcastic and rough, jagged edged, As you're kind of showing her, and as we're both imbibing and floating off in that opium haze, she kind of smiles a bit in a way that you haven't really seen her. And she just asks, where did you first pick this up?
Well,
Be that common over in America, is it?
Not where I'm from. You kind of have to go into the seedy alleyways and underbellies of different major cities to find it. But I ended up there eventually, as you typically do. I just got done on a hunt. I went with this big game hunter and as an assistant, nothing, just to help track. And we had gotten back from Spain and New York City. I had a negative reaction to someone who really got under my skin. They pushed me, and they pushed me until let's just say I saw red, and I murdered them. That same big game hunter bailed me out later in a way of less than legal means, and kind of showed me the ways to keep my cool, keep it under control, staying copacetic, so to speak. And it involves this lovely little flower here. Points to the opium that's collected in the bowl. I've tried other things and it doesn't really seem to work. Not as well. Filthy habit though. Never pick it up.
I will divert from this for now. Let's go over and check in with Carla and Dr. Murdock at some hospital elsewhere.
So Carla meets up, with someone at the front desk, and she waves her through, and it's very clear that she's been here countless times before. And she heads down the hallways past, fading lanterns and lights, and eventually reaches the infectious ward. And you notice that she is very clearly not afraid of whatever is here. And she reaches a door that on the door, the good doctor can read, is a young woman dying of consumption.
I think this is actually a great, not quite a paint the scene question, but Meg, you just said that Carla doesn't really concern herself with being around the diseased. To counteract that, how does Dr. Murdock handle himself when around the sick and infectious?
He's gotten sick a fair share of times. He has a bit of a soft spot in him about people being separated away from everyone else. And you know, while it's not the best choice in a medical stance, he doesn't take such precautions. He will see someone if they are sick, maybe could possibly wear like a face covering or like cover his mouth whenever he is talking to them directly, but more often than not, you know, he's seen people be quarantined for the common cold, you know, and it's something that bothers him a lot, actually. So
And she pushes open the door, and she's wearing very modest. She's actually has a partial veil over her face a little bit. And she goes in and just kneels next to this sleeping woman, seeing how she's doing, pulls up the comforter a little bit, refills her water.
Yeah, the sick.
And just sits next to her, very gently stroking her hair.
I think I'm going to say that she is quite young, too. Like dark hair, sallow skin, you know, dark eyes. And she's probably not all there. Like, she's probably very like, this is somebody who is dying of consumption, so there's a lot of rasp and wheezing and coughing, and she is probably not all there like mentally, so it's just like, from her perception, this is a little ham-fisted, but I like the imagery. The two figures, a little pull back the curtain a little bit on the psyche of this woman. She probably sees these two figures, one and a radiantly, you know, and radiantly beautiful, almost angelic, perfect being in humble clothes by her bedside, and standing, you know, in another corner of the room is a dark, lithe shadow of death. I would say that feels very apt for these two. There's no fear. There is just a perfect balance, I'd say here. I think we'll say that she is dying of consumption. You two are welcome to. Actually, I should ask. This is up to you. Do you want to speak with one another while you are comforting her while dying of consumption, or are you both share a very quiet moment, with this woman in her final you know minutes, and then you speak afterwards? What are you guys like leaning towards?
This is all you. This is your vice.
That's fair. I think she's very quiet, very solemn, and just every so often she hears the words of, "It's all right. Just breathe." And you're not alone. And how does Cal respond in these moments?
Cal is not good with words, especially in the sense of comforting the dying. Many a time he has had people panic because of the things that he might say. They are a little too real. So in the sense of someone's final dying moments, he says nothing because he may say something that might freak them out.
Indeed. Then I will say that this woman passes not peacefully, but better. It's a better passing with the comfort provided by Carla Holst than most unfortunates dying of consumption in London get to have. as her body is removed from this sick room, wheeled off to a morgue or wherever, you two, I think, have this kind of room alone, a room that smells strongly of like ammonia and cleaning solution and the coppery underlay of blood and the sweet underlay of sick.
I do something very similar to this, though I'm not quite here for the before, but more the after. How often do you come around here?
Really quickly, before you even answer that, we need to figure out whether or not we're going to be addressing backstories. Meg, since this is your vice, you get to pick if he's allowed to ask you about your backstory or if you want to find a clue during this whole endeavor.
Let's get a clue.
Okay. All right.
She's curious.
All right, so this is the first time we've ever done this. Thankfully, I'm excited. The way that this works is you tell me what the clue is. Mm-hmm. So you basically get to create. This is like you get to create a vague clue, unascribed to. You could. I think it could be ascribed to a specific threat if you want it to be. You just can't conclusively answer a question. So if you have an idea for a clue that you can grab for the Limehouse Lurker or even this new threat, the creature of Cremorne Gardens, be my guest. Otherwise, yeah.
Carla looks around the room, this dying woman, and she catches herself in the mirror. And Cal doesn't see this. But for a moment, Carla notices her reflection change a little bit, eyes burning red, face a little bit more sunken in, skin very, very pale. And the clue that she is going to give is that she remembers when she was walking through the schoolhouse that she passed by a window, and for a brief moment she saw blood spatters in the shape of a child's nightgown.
Interesting. Very interesting. Blood spatters in the shape of a child's nightgown. That's a very good clue. Thank you. Excellent. And then all four of you may each clear an appropriate condition. Let's see. Honestly, Dr. Murdock and Carla, either one of your conditions are fitting to be removed here. And same with you, Pyrrha, for either out of your depth or altered senses. Either of those can be cleared. And I assume you cleared drained, Ross? Fantastic.
Indeed.
Fantastic. Which one are you going to clear, Dr. Murdock?
Science left me unprepared.
And Carla?
He has given himself time to shake it in. I like haunted passion.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like it.
Violated, because she felt very in control in this scene.
I think that's great. And Pyrrha, which one did you clear?
I moved out of your depths. I was getting some time outside of Hargrave House and talking to someone else. I think restored my confidence a little bit.
I was thinking while you two were having that scene, this is very much Ross, like reaffirming kind of like a sense of stability and control. I think that was great. I'm going to add, because I can't help but give the temptation. Jordan, I'm going to drop you the line here, like, as the young woman was wheeled away towards the morgue, to be processed and whatever. I mean, did you spot any elements of her that just you
Actually,
had to have?
yes, I did.
Yeah?
Yeah. Her hands looked befitting.
She had the most perfect hands. Excellent.
The hands looked right.
Yeah, I think it could be fun. So after Carla, finishes looking at her reflection, she's like, well, I come here every once. And she turns and the doctor is not
Doctor's already gone down a hallway. Oh, I love that.
Some Batman shit.
Yeah.
Already gone.
that's such a great mental image of just the fact that like tying into what the question you were going to ask, Jordan, with like, now I'm just picturing that as like Dr. Murdock was like saying that half-heartedly as he watched the card get wheeled away and then just left before he could even get an answer from Carly. You're down the hallway, so you're gonna try and get a body part for the child.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get a body part.
We'll set that up in a minute. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Doing some crazy shit. Let's go.
Great. Let's see. So, Ross, Pyrrha, you have your vulnerability on the way. Is there anything else you'd like to do? What you'd like to engage with in London?
I mean, I'd like to go do some more looking around for information on our little vampire and start working on resolving that. But I might branch off to do some looking alone. If Ross is okay with that. A lot of you guys will probably all come to know that Pyrrha, because she isn't allowed outside the house without a chaperone, she breaks off whenever she gets the chance. She just kind of comes back.
I completely understand. I'll go ahead and give you your space there, Pyrrha, and I've been hearing some inklings of things rumbling down at Cremorne, so I'm gonna go check out and see what's going on down there.
There we go.
Works out perfect.
I love that.
If you ever want to come back, I know you typically need a babysitter or a nanny to look after you, but if you ever want to come
listen,
back,
if you want to, I would love to talk my uncle out of that one stood for 10 years. I don't expect it to change anytime soon.
Indeed. Secret safe with me, kid.
Thanks.
You got it.
Excellent. And just so I can also think of some stuff too, Carla, after your vulnerable scene, what would you like to do next?
I think she's going to head off also to look more into the Limehouse Lurker, maybe
Excellent.
catch up with Pyrrha.
Well, I think Pyrrha wanted to go do some things alone here. There are multiple locations still. No, there are still multiple locations involved with the Limehouse Lurker, so you can be at two different areas investigating the same threat.
Pyrrha, if you'll take the docks, I actually want to go talk to Jenny.
You read my mind.
I love it.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, before we jump into any of these, let's do a nice little quick risky attempt at securing a body part for the child with Dr. Murdock. Let's follow that thread for a moment.
Fuck yeah, Jordan, come on.
All
Let's
right.
get this girl's hands.
Body part.
Just perfect little
Yeah.
hands.
Let's see. Yeah, I think it's probably a simple morgue. That's probably inundated with bodies. I mean, what's one doctor in a hospital, essentially, in this place of care? You know how to. I feel like you know how to like walk and carry the mantle of somebody who's like, I'm in this room and I give off the appearance that I belong in this room. Like I'm doing work here. I mean, her body is right there, and there are so many other bodies around. I mean, you want to try and make a risky attempt to grab this?
I think absolutely. I think a part of me is kind of thinking, it's like, well, the morgue, I've worked around these. This one at this specific hospital doesn't open for about another hour. But I'm sure a nurse probably wouldn't know that part about the morgue, so who's to say I don't just stand and accept?
Tell me this, Dr. Murdock. What is your what is like your means of acquiring her hands?
I think I'm going to accept her in the morgue. Right, I'm going to begin an autopsy now, if you would please give me the space. And he is immediately going to start the work of an autopsy. But his methods are a little bit different. What he first does is that he drains the body of all blood. This blood is sick. It will not be useful to what he's going to do, so he just kind of lets it go. Matter of fact, the majority of her is not useful, but the hands are nice. So once he acquires this, Are you asking like how he's gonna get to the body itself in
Well,
general?
I'm mostly just figuring what attribute I'm going to have you roll with. It sounds like I guess are you moving hastily or just trying to make it look like, oh, I'm doing this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or are you like, how do I like methodically like mentally figure out the best way to like acquire this as slowly and delicately as possible? Like, what is your like means here?
It needs to be delicate. It's a slow process that needs to be delicate, but he also needs to be able to do it before someone, you know, comes in to work.
Yeah, that's gonna be plus composure.
Okay.
So I honestly think Haunted Passion might get in the way of this. Like, there is this like soft, delicate skin that of the hands you are cutting, and there is the lingering memory of just, you know, ghostly romance. And I feel like there's a kind of like a mental factor in here that might unsteady your hand. So I feel like that might impose disadvantage on you.
Okay.
Do you have any? Do you want to use any of your personal quarters items for this, or?
Yeah, if I could use my medical texts to possibly pull up like a diagram to make sure that no tendons are severed in the wrong way, to make sure I do not saw through what I do not need to.
This I will allow. That makes absolute sense to me. So you can even out. So flat 2d6 plus your composure.
Oh, lovely. I love 2d6. Okay, that's a 6 and a 3 plus 1. So that will be a 10.
10. All right. Well, then as per the move, you do what you intend. Describe what this looks like as you delicately acquire this part for the child.
So he starts by examining. Like, it's almost like he kind of sees through the skin, the epidermal layer, sees the muscles and the tendons and the bone and the cartilage, the bone marrow even. It's almost like he has like this x-ray of his own. After all, he doesn't have an x-ray yet, so he has to really imagine it. And almost in an intimate sense, like he is holding these hands and kind of like feeling the joints for it, just like looking at the fingernails, you know, kind of measuring that length. And then he pulls out a bone saw, the same bone saw that he always has on hand, because you never know when you're going to need to do this. And he just starts to work, and the sawing itself is very quick. Once the body is drained of blood, there's not really much left there but just fat and muscle, and sometimes little remnants behind. So of course he keeps it above a bowl to capture just what gets dropped. But he saws through these hands quick and clean, and he, with a scalpel, with a special scalpel of his, with a very thin tip, begins drawing sigils around the wrist, and just kind of almost like a seal, and places it into the bag and takes it on his way.
Fantastic. As per the move, as you hold these hands in your hands, Dr. Murdock, you have to narrate a brief, pleasant memory of the person you lost that is triggered as you hold these hands.
They were kids. They were kids out in his backyard. And they just, like kids normally do when you're young, you run around, you dig with your no tools, just what you have. And you try to find treasures and stories and possibly a fun rock or something to happily show to your parents. He, however, you know, he found a bird, you know, in the backyard. It was the skeleton of one long since passed, but something about it fascinated the both of them. You know, something that just might have triggered something inside Murdock about his numbness to the dead, and something that fascinated him about the anatomy of the dead as well.
Fantastic. You take these hands and you see yourself out. Let's jump over to Pyrrha at the docks. I want to focus on her for a bit. Let's see here. All righty. So, Pyrrha, you are going to head out along Regent's Canal, one of the locations mentioned. This, as a reminder, is where the body of Zhao Donghai, a Chinese sailor, was found, outside a pub here called the Dog and Whistle. We have a paint the scene question for the canal. This is a place where there is just coal dust on everything. Sailors are playing dice games. Prostitutes and tinkers are peddling their respective wares. Do you find the teeming humanity here to be exhilarating or revolting? Why?
Absolutely exhilarating, because some of the happiest memories I have are on these docks. In fact, you've already seen one of my memories on these docks.
A little disgusting. It's not beautiful, it's not pretty, but there is something ingenious about the human spirit, being able to thrive just about anywhere, even some places awful as this.
I'm fairly certain that man has a disease. I'm not entirely sure, but he's starting to lose his fingers. Is everyone like that here?
There is a bar pub nearby that is called the Whistling Hen. And there is a woman named Brandywin that is outside cleaning and grabbing things off tables and whistling and singing to herself. So it's very dissonant from like seeing the kind of like dirty grossness of the canal and the docks, and then having kind of beautiful singing overlaying it.
Excellent. So, Pyrrha, as you walk amongst this crowd of humanity, soldiers, Chinese immigrants, whether they're dock workers or any other, profession that they fancy around the area, what would you like to do?
So I'm not the talker like Carla. I'm not going to try and gather information. I'm looking for the fucking vampire.
Just having a keen eye out for anything that catches your eye.
Pretty much. And if I see something, I follow.
Okay. I like that. Then... Yes.
Very direct approach and
no, very direct. You're walking
here.
amongst this thrum of humanity. Absolutely. Let's see. Yeah, this will be an information move plus your composure. You did not clear altered senses, so I'm just gonna. I think that you have still a bit of that the opiate in your system, so that'll be with disadvantage.
Oh yeah, no, I got high today, so
yes,
absolutely, I'm still.
And do you have anything from your personal quarters?
Right?
Yes, 3, unless you wanted to use something from your personal quarters to give yourself advantage.
I do not think, as much as I want to find a way to justify the Belmont being used here, I can't.
Okay.
So.
Just crack the shit out of somebody, just...
It'll be when I actually fight the vampire.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and roll then.
Okay. Well, that was a 4.
A 4. I love it when you roll like absolute dog shit.
Don't.
No, I love it when you do, not that you do. Just when you do. It's great because I can do. It's because it gives me the opportunity to have bad things happen, and we love that in this story.
Yeah. The opportunity for you to make me put on more masks. I know what your goal is.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. This is so intriguing to me. Let's see, because you're looking.
I'm
around.
going down weird
You're
places.
going down
I'm
weird
walking
pathways. Yeah.
Walking down alleyways, just looking around.
This is
Fucking waiting for Georgie to pop out at me.
Yeah, right. You see I'm gonna love this one. Let me look at my list here for a second. I'm gonna roll with this. Something does catch your eye. And you see that there is a who do I want to pick for this? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with this. You see that there is a Chinese sailor, handsome and wearing kind of like dingy sailor's whites, who seems to be like intensely like, whereas everyone else is kind of like moving about their business, going about work or whatever. This one gentleman seems to be like very intensely like focused and like seems like he has a lot on his mind. And you see that he like is like creeping around, checking out like alleyways, like under like like just like heaps of like cargo, and it's just kind of like walking around and begins to like walk down a darkened alleyway and immediately catches your attention. And as you follow him, like kind of like keep like I'm like watching, seeing where this might be leading, like this seems to be catching your eye. You see that he is like creeping down this like darkened cobblestone alleyway. He's taken out like a belaying pin that you get on a ship, like a nice wooden belaying pin, and it's like holding it almost like a cautionary like club, like he is like unassuredly like walking down this alleyway. And as you follow him, you see him like stop, and then he suddenly like gasps for air, and you watch as this man is lifted up into the air by an invisible force, and he floats there, and suddenly a pair of small hands burst out from his sternum on the inside, and opening him up from the inside, a small child crawls out, spilling his guts to the cobblestones before leaping into deeper shadows, trailing blood as it goes. I will let you know that that was a side character that you could have interacted with that I just murdered. Would you like to continue living in this reality, or would you like to change the fates?
I think I'm changing fate.
Okay.
I would like to put on a Mask of the Future.
Okay, Mask of the Future it is.
Ooh, spicy.
I love it. Isn't that your like third Mask of the Future?
It is.
Spicy indeed.
I don't want to keep using my masks of the past, and I'm not sure I want to take either one of the custom ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is fair enough. Which one would you like to check?
I'm thinking the Cosmic Passage.
Would you care to read aloud what the Legacy's Cosmic Passage entails?
Your connection to the beast has grown. At the start of the dusk phase, roll with presence. On a 10+, take advantage on your next roll and describe what aspect of the beast you feel what aspect of the beast you feel helping you. On a 7 to 9 as above, but take the condition bloodthirsty.
Ooh.
Once the beast is resolved, unmark the box. When you mark it again, change the connection to any active threat.
Excellent. Alrighty, that's very interesting. Okay, so we will change the prompt then for now. I will return to this scene momentarily, but this Chinese sailor does not meet a gruesome end at the hands of the Limehouse Lurker in the darkened alleyways of Regent's Canal. We'll get back to this in a moment. Let's jump over to Mr. Fontenot. So let's see.
What's good, Keeper?
Could not be a more different tone right now. You wanted to go check out Cremorne Gardens, didn't you?
Yeah, and Ross has got on his best bowler cap. He brought with him his fur coat and everything. He's got himself on a new shirt. He's strolling down. He's got a cigar in his mouth, occasionally whistling or singing old Spanish ladies to himself, you know.
He's going to have the best afternoon.
He's going to have
just so good.
No, truly, there is just a... You arrive at Cremorne Gardens, which, as mentioned before, is this Victorian, like, theme park, essentially, where there are experiences, food, you know, dining, a large central dancing platform, this large pagoda, you know, a promenade, hedge maze. It's not too far from like Cheney Walk. That's kind of like along the riverfront kind of nice road with like houses and like trees. It is very lovely here. And actually, I think I have some ambiance for this. There it is. Yeah, let's play this. Why not? There we go. So, let's see. What is your like approach here, Ross? Like, what are you mostly looking for to or rather, I should say, to do here as you arrive at Cremorne Gardens?
Just trying to get a lay of the land here, see what's going on, see how people are feeling, and seeing if there's anybody that knows about what this freaky little creature is all about around here, especially if it is a very how does one say willing and open young lady or gentleman?
Absolutely. And indeed, as you walk the length of Cremorne Gardens, you know, there is this you pass by a rapturous crowd applauding from the balloon ascent observation deck as this enormous red and gold striped balloon climbs into the air. There's applause, there's gasps of delight. The modern era is so fascinating. Let's see. Particularly, yeah. I say one person that will catch your eye if you're just kind of like walking about is going to be this relatively, you know, young woman, maybe in about her mid to late 20s, maybe pushing into her 30s. Simple utilitarian dress. Her hair has been pulled back into a neat bun. Very like no nonsense attitude about her. And she actually is like looking around like she has some degree of like ownership or interest in the daily operations of everything going on here. She's less like looking around and going for like for fun times, and she's more like just checking to make sure everything is like going well.
It's always interesting to find somebody that's not distracted by balloons or tomfoolery. Seems to be that there's somebody that is very no nonsense, which is hard to find in Cremorne Gardens.
Are you saying that to her as you like approach her?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Just like walking by, just like standing beside, keep on looking up at the balloon, but just kind of saying it out loud.
She like glances over at you and just kind of gives a curt but agreeing nod. She says, "Indeed. And are you enjoying yourself, Mr.
Fontenot? Grappling Ross Fontenot, but you can just call me Ross or Mr. Fontenot, whatever you are more comfortable with." You are.
Abigail Simpson, my father, is the owner. She like, you know, kind of nods her head at you, and she says, "Well, welcome. Is this your first time? Your accent, you are American, are you not?"
Indeed, I was born in the swamps of Louisiana, raised there by my pa and my ma and my grandpappy. And here I am, just a lost, lonely sheep in the middle of the wide open forest of the great British Empire.
Indeed. Well, care for a quick tour?
I would love one.
Well, follow me then. Cremorne Gardens is, you know, owned by my father. He is more grandiose ideas, but I, you know, temper them where necessary. Make sure everything runs smoothly. We want to ensure that our visitors are enjoying the absolute most amount that we have to offer at their own leisure. And she begins to walk you down this promenade, which has very well manicured lawns, neatly ordered flower beds, ancient trees growing up. They're who knows how old. And here's a paint the scene question. You see something truly beautiful along the promenade. What is it?
There is a family that is enjoying their child's first steps walking while they're picnicking off to the side. And it's a truly beautiful moment.
There is a young woman attending a garden of orchids from all across the world. Very tropical areas. So these have been lovingly cared for to be present here today.
There is a very particularly beautiful bed of flowers that has a plaque on it. Can't quite read it from this distance. It's clearly in memorial to some beloved person. It's clear the amount that they were loved based on how well the flowers are taken care of.
There are two teenagers making out on a park bench, and then they have some security kind of chase them away, yelling things like, "Oi! Right, you leave that at home, you hear me?" And they're giggling and prodding along as they run off.
Fantastic. Thank you, hunters. Abigail leads you down the promenade and begins to call out various little attractions offered here at Cremorne Gardens, obviously gesturing to the balloon. You at the center of the whole place is that dancing pagoda, which she says, it can fit up to 4,000 dancers at the same time, as my father likes to say it. It is you should see it at night. It's quite enjoyable. And then over there,
I would love to.
Oh, well, yes, and over there you'll see that is our Banqueting Hall. All sorts of fine dining and enjoyable imbibement to be had. Of course, the Hedge Mage over there. Cheney Walk, not too far from here. Lovely waterfront view. You pass by a tent that has a painted sign out front that says Greco, the second-sighted boy. And she gestures that, and then she also says, and what I think you might be most interested in, you don't mind my saying, sir, this is the American Bowling Saloon, and you're standing outside this just absolutely gauche building that has been erected in full on Americana vibe. And she says, would you like to walk inside, maybe feel some elements of home?
I'm quite used to the bowling halls back home. I'm more of a nature.
Oh, very well.
Kind of sort.
I see. Well then, shall we continue to walk along the promenade? And was there anything you wanted, Mr. Fontenot, was it?
Yes, I heard some rumblings of a creature wandering about here.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to have wasted your time. Sir, if there really was a fish man creeping about, my father would have already captured it, put it in a tank, and raised a tent. To Joey to go in and have a look, thank you very much. I assure you there is no creature, everyone is safe, it is just a case of hysteria.
Indeed. It seems like the only creature that's out of place here is me.
Well, if anywhere in London, sir, Cremorne Gardens is a place for unordinary things, and you're not the first American to come through these parts. I think there's one down by Cheney Walk somewhere, a painterly sort, American like yourself, though not as thick of an accent from what I've heard. Well, look, if there is a matter you would like to discuss regarding the fishman rumors, and as I assure you they are completely unfounded, I'm thinking something real quick. Actually, real quick, why don't you give me a information move plus your presence? Let's see if she has anything to say about this.
And
let's see. Yeah, I don't think any of your conditions get in the way here.
10.
10. Flat clue. Love that. Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah. You see Abigail says, okay, here's what I say. This Fishman rumor, complete hoax. If you'd like to talk to my father, you can certainly speak with him in his office. He is around. I'm sure he'd be more than willing to talk about this at length. God knows I would like him not to. But if you ask me, all this business is nothing more than an elaborate hoax. I mean, after all, Madame Tussauds is putting together a Horrors of the Sea waxwork, or so I've heard. Perhaps this is all some sort of stunt marketing to draw attention away from their competitors.
That would be quite underhanded and quite cheap.
Yes, it would be.
Say, Abigail, was it?
Yes.
What say you and I go look at the hedge maze or something? We can talk more about this. Or if that's too forward, then we might be able to carry on, maybe grab some dinner later this evening, something. Talk more about your father's business and this Madame Tussauds as well.
I think I could be amiable to that. I do have some things to attend to at the current moment, but if you'd like to enjoy yourself with a walk around the gardens, I'm sure I can find you.
I might just go find your pops, or might say hi to my fellow American.
Indeed. Well, I will see you around then, Mr. Fontenot.
It was a pleasure and a privilege, Miss Simpson. I hope to do see you in the future. And he'll kiss her hand.
She seems like, oh, that's curious, but then she's gonna like pass it off and just goes about like minding her business, gives a like glance over her shoulder and then shakes off and keeps walking. Before you get to walk way too far, you hear behind you an absolutely not. And you turn around and you see face that might not be familiar, though you at least are acquainted with. We see standing here is Detective Inspector Pettigrew from Scotland Yard, who is standing there in his tweed jacket, his tidy mustache, smoking from his pipe, staring daggers at you. And he says, I should have known that as soon as a salaciously stupid story such as this hit the RAG, the Illustrated Police News, that your Hargrave House like would have shown up. I should have given Dr. Murdock a much sterner notice that I do not want your sorts but mucking around in my business.
Oh, D.I. Pettigrew, have no worries. I think the only salacious thing that's around here is me. I'm just taking a nice afternoon stroll and meeting the pretty ladies.
The hell you are, Mr. Fontenot. I know your ilk well enough at this point to know that you are up to no good. And I'm going to tell you this once and only once and as firmly as I can. This case is the providence of Scotland Yard. Stay away from it, or I will have to get involved with Hargrave House. And believe me, sir, neither of those things are in our... He kind of like takes a deep breath and kind of like steadies himself. Neither of those things are in our interest, Mr. Fontenot. Do I make myself clear?
Ross, who has a very, very big problem with authority, is going to move very close to Pettigrew. And I imagine he's taller than Pettigrew. And he's just going to get real close to Pettigrew's ear, to where almost his mutton chop whiskers are touching his cheek. And he's going to say, Detective Inspector Pettigrew, I suggest that the next time you make a threat to me or my associates, you bring something more than your platform shoes and your cheap plastic badge, you understand?
Oh my. This feels suitably risky. I'm gonna let this be a day move plus your presence as you are threatening him. So I will actually ask you really quickly, what are you afraid of happening here if you fail?
I'm afraid of being locked up.
Yep.
And thrown in jail.
I love that.
Threatening.
Yeah, go ahead and roll, plus your presence.
That is a 8 plus 1. That is a 9.
9. Let's see. It says here, I tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. And then I will describe what it looks like. I think that if you do this is, you'd be vulnerable because, like, I will say right now, he is already going to be hostile to Hargrave House during your interactions with him. But he will, like, absolutely, like, dog you. Like, he will make sure that you are, like, if you come near this case, he's going to be like a hawk on your shoulder. You'll be utterly scrutinized, and that might bring some unwelcome attention into Hargrave House business.
Am I able to put on a mask to make this one
Absolutely you
higher?
are. Absolutely
Perfect.
you
I would love to put on a mask of the past because I feel like it's very fitting.
are. Would you like to narrate that now or wait a little bit?
I would love to narrate that now.
Excellent. So go ahead. Let's get this ambiance out of the way. And it says here on your sheet, Ross, that this is your second mask of the past, which says narrate a flashback to your youth, showing what an arrogant, willful brat you were. Lead us in.
So as we see Ross glaring down at D.I. Pettigrew, it goes back and forth between their faces, and then we get like a close-up of Ross's eye, and then the scene shifts, and it's younger. And we see Ross at the age of 9, and he is wearing shorts, like a shorts suit, almost like how Roger was dressed, the sailor outfit, almost a bit like that. And you see that there are wide expanse of grass. There are Spanish moss trees over a driveway leading up to a white house with tall columns. You can hear the sounds of mosquitoes and cicadas off in the distance. This is clearly a place out in the middle of the bayou. And you see Ross is standing and looking very dejected, with a broken, what seems to be a horse toy standing over it. And you see a woman wearing almost like a maid outfit, who's just saying, Monsieur, please, come inside, please. And trying to drag Ross. And Ross is just staring down at this broken horse. And finally the maid goes, ma puce, and goes to grab Ross's arm. And Ross, for the first time ever, grabs her arm and kind of twists it back. Even as a 9-year-old boy, he's kind of tall, and in a string of French just chews her out and says that you shall not put your hands on me, you shall not touch me, you shall not talk to me like that, and the next time you do, you will have to deal with my father. And like picks up the broken horse toy and just stomps up towards the house.
Fantastic. Well then, you may bump the result up to a 10, which you may describe to me what you what happens as you do what you intend here with D.I. Pettigrew.
Ross, you see he like leans down and whispers, and he just turns and he looks over at Pettigrew, and Pettigrew, his eyes meet Ross's eyes, and it's just a moment, just a long moment of just two people staring at each other until finally Pettigrew breaks away for a moment, and then Ross just smiles and looks pleased and puts his cigar in his mouth and lights the match off of a button off of Pettigrew's jacket, and then lights the cigar. Yeah. And he goes, I think we have an understanding.
He doesn't even say anything to you. He just glares at you, but backs down and like sulks away.
Have a wonderful afternoon stroll.
And I think on that note, we're going to go to a quick intermission. and we will return momentarily with more of the Between. So, distinguished guests watching at home, please stay tuned. We will be back in just a few moments. Until then, see you soon. And welcome back. So, let us pick up with Carla. You wanted to go to Jenny Johnson's Opium Den, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, well then you head down, you show up. Still, very many patrons present, and of course, our friend, the man in the sun mask, is in attendance off on his own corner, enjoying himself as he is wont to do. Additionally, Jenny Johnson is about the place with a careful and studious eye, keeping watch over her patrons, but all eyes, including her own, turn on you as you enter the establishment. How do you feel right now?
I feel wonderful.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
It's a nice place. It's not one she usually frequents. Carla doesn't imbibe very often, but it's nice. It's very nice. And she appreciates it.
I think Jenny approaches you. Now I'll ask before I say anything. Are you angling to turn anyone here into one of yours?
Let's see how things go first.
Okay, sure enough.
I might. We'll see.
Okay, sure enough. She says, Jenny then says, hello, welcome. I take it by your bearing that you are not here to partake in recreation.
No, darling, no. I'm definitely more here about
Hargrave House. You are with, indeed.
Yes, I am.
Two of your peers were here not too long ago. Shall we speak out of the public forum?
Let's do so.
She
I'd be most
nods and sees you off into a private side chamber. Closes the doors behind you and just kind of like sighs. I think you have a very disarming demeanor, Carla. Like, so she kind of like closes the doors behind her. She kind of just like sighs and just kind of like, and then levels her head, and more so to herself than to you, she says, I came here to make a life for myself. And then she turns to you and like looks at you and kind of like realizes what she said out loud, and she continues and goes, people turn their noses up at East London, but all I see here is opportunity. So, I hope you come with good news.
We're getting close. I just wanted to ask and see if you knew anything. I don't know if any of my dear hunters have thought to ask you.
They have not, though I thought that it was on account that they were more concerned with looking for leads and information and whatever strange business you get up to. I mean, what is there for me to tell you? The 3 bodies are in my basement presently, and I am doing my best to ensure that officials do not come poking around. We have not yet had this leak anywhere, but I'm not sure how long that can withstand.
Now, I'm invoking Gibbeth.
Okay. That's gonna change the interaction between you two a little bit.
That's okay.
That's okay. So let's see. You declare that this side character is secretly one of your worshippers.
Oh, yes.
Indeed. I feel okay now. I think now out of the public eye, here's what I'm saying. Now out of the public eye, she immediately like reverts and says, "Forgive me, my lady, for not giving you the deference you deserve."
Don't
and
worry.
it's like, I did not want to make something of your appearance.
Calm down.
You have to tell me now, Meg, how Jenny subtly or not so subtly debases herself before you in this scene, and then scar your reflection.
As they were walking through the opium den together, Jenny was very not so subtly pulling down the collar of her dress.
Oh.
And as they get into the room, she's almost like working to unbutton the first couple of buttons on the top of her shirt, just to make sure, just in case.
Just in case her neck is exposed and
very exposed.
This is going to change so much. I love it. This is great. Now I just need to think of like, how does this influence the interaction? Yeah.
And since I've scarred my reflection,
Yes, you
I
must
have to narrate what happens there as well.
Yes, you do. You have to describe how it affects your masterwork.
And as the door closes and Carla just smiles, there is... Again, we fly through London. We go into that basement room with that beautiful statue. And you watch as a little bit of... So the statue right now is pure white marble. You're not sure if it's ever been colored before. But you slowly see a streak of dark, inky black just run down the very, very roots
Love that.
Of the hair.
Fantastic. Yeah. And Jenny will, she kind of like prepares her neck, does all these things.
Not what I want.
Of course. Forgive me, I was just wanting to ensure. She buttons it back up a little bit.
You came seeking help.
Yes. Yes, I did.
You know what I am.
That is why I sought the help of Hargrave House. In addition to its strange reputation, my lady, there are similarities that I knew would be of interest to yourself. I do want what is best for my patrons, for this neighborhood. I do not want to bring undue alarm or danger to this community. But beyond that, I know that... a foolish thing for me to say that I know. I do not know with certainty, my lady, but... if this lurker, we shall refer to them, is
Lurker.
indeed of similar nature to your ladyship, then who the more capable to deal with such a thing?
Who the more capable, and who better to protect?
Of course. Yes.
You're one of mine, and they won't touch you or anyone around you. So tell me, what else do you know?
Oh my goodness, this is so good. Yeah, so go ahead.
And just to ensure that the clue is given,
Yeah.
let's say she takes out... Does it have to be a marked... Can it be a marked item or an unmarked item?
Let's see. It just says whenever you make a gift of something from your personal quarters, so it could be marked or unmarked. It's just, it has to be from your personal quarters.
She reaches into the box of rings again, because there's several of them, and she's gonna pick out a simple band. It's nice. It's nothing beautiful. It's nothing to write home about.
Yes.
But it is very nice. It's very simple. And she lays it in her hand. This will protect you.
I love this.
That I can promise. So tell me.
I'm not sure by the wording.
Anything.
Yes, sorry. I'm not sure by the wording of the move if you remove it from your personal quarters item, though I think the implication there is that you do.
I think the implication is
the
that
implication
I
is
do.
that you remove it from your personal quarters, so you may do that. She takes the ring astonished, and she says, "My lady, this is a most beautiful and undeserved gift, but I shall cherish it all the same." Yeah, because you can get clues from her with no roll required. Oh, I'm so glad you took this move. Yeah. She's going to give you something, and I'm going to also add a little extra something to that something. Blindly consult my clue list here. Let's see.
And as this scene is going, Carla is she's very gently stroking her hands. This very comforting, almost mirroring earlier with the dying girl, but now it's less comforting someone who is dying, but someone who is reveling in her appearance. And just gently stroking her hands, just like, it's all right. You are mine. You are mine. You have chosen to become mine, and you will be safe. I deem it so.
Indeed. This is such a hard one to get for what, because there's so many good options here. But I'm gonna have her. Yeah, why not? We'll go with it. This is a little off the beaten path. I'll go with this one. Jenny kind of like thinks for a moment, and then says, she starts to say, "Well, there is not much I could offer you that you are not already well surpassing in capability to find, and nor have I done much beyond harboring these bodies for the sake of secrecy. But now that you do mention it, there has been something odd that I've heard about in the neighborhood ever since the killings began. I thought nothing of it, but there was..." She kind of like is trying to think of how to like phrase. It's almost like she's trying to like think of how to phrase this in a way that you won't like, that won't like be foolish before you to say. There was a delivery here at the Opium Den for myself around this time. It was a she like takes you in a way and opens up like a little like kind of like cabinet that she has, and there's this like wrapped up bundle, this copiously large amount of gardenia flowers, and it says these were brought to the den. I do not know who, but it is the only strange event that I can think of that has happened in the same time, and indeed they preceded the first killings by a matter of hours.
That's very helpful, actually. You've done excellently.
Thank
My
you,
dear.
my lady. Thank you.
Button yourself up.
Yes, of course. Forgive me for my indecency.
No, of course not. I will be back at some point.
Yes. I look forward to your
Just
return.
Keep things quiet until then.
And I'm going to say that because you did giveth on her, you know her real name.
Ooh.
Because she's Chinese. Jenny Johnson is
Yeah.
just a name she has in London. Her real name is Chen Bao.
Chen Bao.
Yep, Chen Bao.
And-
So you know her name.
And thank you, Chen Bao. A beautiful name. One I quite like on my tongue. And she's going to leave the room.
Excellent. Let's resolve what was happening over with Pyrrha. So you bumped up your result with a roll, and that brought you a clue with a complication. So it's still going to be you followed this Chinese sailor down this alleyway, and although this time there is no lifting up into the air and brutal murder, there is only him sitting there like looking around sadly, almost like dejectedly or like wistfully. And he's just standing there alone in the alleyway by himself. Do you just watch him from afar, or do you approach him?
I watched.
All right.
I'm not the social person. I'm not Carla. I'm not good at that.
Yeah, you watch him as he just kind of like sadly looks around like he's failing something or someone. And then he sadly turns and like approaches like a door facing the alleyway, opens it, and you realize now that this alleyway is directly behind the Dog and Whistle pub. This must be the alleyway where Zhao Donghai's body was found. And perhaps this sailor was a friend or an acquaintance of the victim, but he sadly walks away. But something catches your eye in the alleyway, and as you get closer, discarded, lying there, lost, is a small wooden toy Viking ship. An interesting little find.
Pick it up and want to figure out how long it's been here.
It may have been discarded. It doesn't. I mean, it's hard to. I'd say it's hard to say for certainty, but a wooden toy like this discarded in London town of all places, it's probably, you'd reckon.
Yeah, well, also just back here too. This
Yeah.
seems like a weird spot, and also, fucking England gets a lot of rain.
Yep, I'd say
A
that.
lot of lichen likes to grow in the rain. I wonder
Yeah.
how slimy this toy is.
So I'd say like it's probably been here a few nights, within the same range as the murders that have happened in the area. So that's what I'll give you for now. There's your clue there. As you're kind of like picking up there, a Bobby comes walking around. This is Constable Lansing, who we may have seen previously, though that did not happen. He comes walking around and he kind of like pauses and he goes, "Oi, what you poking around there for?"
Do I need a reason to stand here?
I mean, generally loitering is frowned upon, miss.
Just trying to find a quicker way out of away from Main Street over that way. That's all.
Right. You, haven't seen anything, odd, out of sorts, interesting, have you?
No,
Yeah.
nothing that is new around here, at least.
Yeah, alright. Well, good day, Miss.
Oh, am I supposed to tell you my name?
It's polite when asked, yeah.
Rivia.
Rivia, alright. Police Constable Lansing.
Question I never asked, but thanks. And I'm just gonna push past him and leave.
He definitely is gonna like eye you very like suspiciously, and he's gonna like pull out a pad and he's gonna write down on it like Rivia ? And Police Constable Lansing takes note of who you are and what you were doing.
My uncle is going to kill me. My uncle is going to kill me. My uncle
There's
is
your
going to kill
complication.
me. Yeah, no, that's all. That's Pyrrha's just muttering that to herself.
How are you feeling, Pyrrha?
I mean, a cop just approached me
Yeah.
and I told him my name, which is going to get me in trouble later, probably. So anxious.
Let's give you the condition anxious.
Ooh.
That feels
Just got rid of my conditions, guys.
Yes, you did. Welcome to the gameplay cycle of vulnerable moves and conditions.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. I'll play your game.
Yes, you will. I think we actually did a decent amount there. I might be ready to progress onto a dusk phase, unless there's anything other scenes people were jonesing for. No, alrighty then. Oh,
I
anything?
think it might be time to answer
Oh.
the question. I think we have enough.
For Limehouse Lurker, yeah.
The Limehouse Lurker.
All right, you want to initiate this?
We'll
Absolutely.
keep it quick.
No,
Let's keep it
absolutely,
quick.
totally. Let's see. So, the question that stands for the Limehouse Lurker currently is the vampire young or old with a complexity of 4? Hunters, let's begin. You have 8 clues, so
We do.
a
We
fair
only need
amount.
4.
Well,
Well, not
you
necessarily.
technically
but,
only need 2
Technically only
mechanically,
2.
but yes, 4 would make you a flat roll. Anything beyond that gives you a bonus. What are we thinking? What? Which way does the wind blow on this?
It's definitely, if not young or old, enjoys pretending to be young.
I kind of like the idea that it is old and pretending to be young.
It is an
Me
old
too.
vampire.
Yeah.
Mostly because a young vampire. I'm so sorry,
No,
Jordan.
go for it. You were on the track.
A young vampire, I do not think would. All of these people that have been killed have not been killed in a very violent or gratuitous
Nope.
manner, and that does not read a young and not fully in control vampire. That to me reads one that is old and clever.
It's been very
Definitely.
ritualistic with the milk and the candies and the flowers that were delivered to the opium den.
And the fact that each body is missing 3 things. That's very ritualistic.
I was actually thinking that I think this vampire is rather new. I think this vampire is rather amateur. Why would it commit a murder? Why would it commit 3 murders in the same place if it did not, if it did not know any better? Why would there be a small wooden toy around it? I feel like it would kind of like take things and stay by milk and candies because it's still very young at heart.
I
What do you
just
guys
have a
think about
thought.
What's your thought?
Obviously, this is something that not all the hunters know, but one of Carla's followers is here. What if whatever this is, it's something old and it's something that's rivaling Carla?
That was my thought.
Oh, that's an
It's
interesting take.
Because that blood spiral, you don't get that shit being
This is a
young.
vampire moving in. What you're insinuating? This is a vampire, an old vampire, moving in on Carla's turf. Interesting. And I have to say, by the way, I love it when there's discord between opinions
No,
here. So,
I
Jordan,
definitely
if you
agree.
want to keep trying to if you have like more like ways to defend your young vampire idea, go for it. We
have a small theory.
we have to all be in complete unanimous agreement
Right,
for
yes.
to theorize here. So go off.
I do like both angles, yeah.
Both are good. But yeah, continue.
No, well, I have like a theory that this vampire might be young. I am so excited about the idea of a vampire moving in on Carla's turf. But yes, Wes, what's your
what's up,
idea?
Wes?
What's your idea, Wes?
The brain is tickling me right now.
That's the opium.
So it's the opium. So I like playing devil's advocate for both sides here.
Yeah.
What if the rituals and everything? What if it is a vampire that's moving in on Carla's turf? What if it's young?
And doesn't
What if the
know it yet.
rituals aren't ritual? It doesn't know it yet. What if the rituals aren't rituals, but what if the rituals are just the vampire just kind of assumes from reading Penny Dreadfuls or the Jack the Ripper tales? It's just like a serial killer. That's what's gonna keep me from being,
going insane, going
going
blood
insane.
drunk.
The threat
Yeah.
does say specifically that if the vampire is young, it is scared, it will lash out like a wild animal, and its kills are sloppy and haphazard. These could be a young, in line with what you might be suggesting there, Wes. It might be a young vampire's attempts at trying to cover up its own kills of passion as a defense mechanism for being afraid.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting angle.
What if, and hear me out on this one, what if it's both?
It can't be both.
Well, not necessarily like both, but like this vampire has been a vampire for a time, but it's not a child, like it's child sized, but
We have established that it is in the body of a child.
it is in the body.
yeah.
I'm saying it is in the body of the child. It just hasn't aged since it was turned.
Well, no,
It's
yeah.
been here for a bit,
Yeah.
but I don't think it is necessarily old. Like, I don't think it's like
Mentally old.
That is there's a little bit of inflexibility here, which is simply that there are different ways to handle the vampire depending on if they are a new vampire
Yeah.
or an older
Yeah.
vampire.
An old
So
vampire.
unfortunately, there is a little bit of the binary there. This is either a new vampire,
or an old one.
or an
Or
old
an
one.
old
Yeah.
All right. So
I do
maybe
appreciate.
instead of
I appreciate like the reach out.
Trying to figure
Yeah.
out a little middle ground.
Yeah.
But.
so maybe then the blood spiral isn't necessarily a sign that it has mastered its blood magic sort of stuff, but is instead still trying to experiment with it. And it has reached a point where it's getting stronger, but it's scared because it's getting stronger.
So do you think that it is a young vampire that's starting to fit into the shoes?
It's getting
Okay.
it's still young.
I think
but
the
it's-
idea here being that like if it's a young vampire, these were its first kills.
Yeah.
And if it is an old vampire, these are not its first kills, and it has other things going on there. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Is like if this is young, it is very young because these are the first people that it has drank from, presumably.
And I also had another thought with my theory. We are able to alter clues a bit to fit a narrative, right?
Yeah, we can recontextualize.
So I was thinking that delivery that was here was a delivery from overseas. I think what was delivered by a group of people, either like possibly carrying, a group of people over along with it, or if it was a family of sailors who, possibly took their child along with them. Something happened on the seas, something devastating, something supernatural. The delivery made it on time, of course, but who's to say that maybe the family didn't? Maybe something happened on the way here before the murders started.
Oh, so you're suggesting that these flowers were... I mean, who sent them to Jenny then? So, okay, actually, let me just clarify this.
It sounds like it's
unrelated. It's unrelated to the vampire, other than the fact that they traveled by the same boat to get here. I mean, I want to know who's shipping flowers by boat. That's an interesting horticultural.
Well, I mean, like
right there.
if this is an opium den, surely these flowers don't have to be flowers, but drugs in their own sense. Or it could just say gardenia flowers on the box, and then when you open it up, it's filled with just all kinds of shit.
I think it was pretty specifically. They were flowers.
Yeah, they were flowers.
They were flowers.
It could, or consider that this child is scared and they know that what they're doing is wrong, or that it frightens them, and they sent the flowers as like a partial warning,
partial warning,
partial apology of what I'm about to do.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry that I'm inflicting this upon you.
Meg.
Like
because wait, maybe Jenny knew the kid's parents.
That's a very interesting take. I will also add real quick, Jordan, in line with an experience you had previous session, the lurker was in the basement with you as a danger that you evaded, if you recall. That might line pretty well up with like the idea that it's constantly it's like an apology, or at least it is, if it is a young vampire, clearly it is sorry to Jenny specifically that it's constantly checking in and sending her like flowers and things. Shelby, do you have any
wasn't
thoughts?
Left behind. The kid took the bear because it's a kid.
Oh,
Shelby, you have any thoughts?
Bear.
Any other angles on this?
I like the idea that perhaps Jenny knew whoever the vampire's caretaker was, and perhaps they. I to build off this idea that Jenny knew this child, that perhaps it was like maybe their caretaker is one of Jenny's patrons that overdosed in.
I will say, let us not go further down the rabbit hole of the child's potential home life. If you guys decide that it is a young child, that will heavily factor into the resolution question.
I think that I think that I don't know. The only thing that's keeping me from committing that it is a child is the fact that these murders were, well, I won't call them clean, they were hidden.
Well, here's the thing though.
It could not have been.
We can easily recontextualize and retcon and say that they were messier kills. That is absolutely allowed within the bounds of the game.
If that's what we're doing, then I am absolutely 110% fine with saying it's a kid. That's just my only thing, is that there seems like there's some premeditation in these murders.
It could be that they were clean because the kid wanted them to look clean. Afterwards,
they were
nothing like a child's
afterwards.
Imagination.
I was also thinking some children are incredibly smart. Not to give the child like the intelligence of an adult, but some children are sneaky, and even when they don't have malicious intention. Let's say that this kid has been staving this off for a long time and lost control. That could explain why these bodies were partially mangled in a way. Could explain how the doc could have almost had that same fate.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's
he was
hungry.
going to be pulled into the shadows away from sight. I think that there's a certain level of awareness that the kid has as he's really as they are really starting to like I said before, wear these shoes.
Their fear manifests in more of an anxious way of wanting to not cause trouble. Like that feels so much like an orphan of this area, honestly. Like somebody who just does not want to get hit by a stick, you know, for doing something wrong. That feels very and I like the notion of like we can easily say that the murders were a bit messier. They are visibly messier murders, but they've been cleaned up so they seem less messy. But and like
Definitely.
and the idea that like you know, the milk and sweets, for example, as you guys were throwing around there, might be a very haphazard way to cover up an otherwise messy. And I believe the milk and sweets was one Charla Bell, who we established in a previous clue was unkind to some of the children at the Limehouse school.
Yeah.
Oh god, do you think this kid was turned recently? Like this kid was like
this would
a
be
part of that school?
Yes. I think that's absolutely where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
was part of that school.
I mean, how
and-
uncommon is a child dying in Limehouse? I mean,
Yeah.
it's very common.
Very common.
I
Yeah.
think Charla Bell was probably their first kill, and then that was just like a string.
I think actually they were their second. At least looking at my list
Oh.
here, because I think
Oh, that's right, they went in order.
It was Soft Jimmy who was a prostitute. I think Soft Jimmy was a messy reactionary kill, and then
They were hungry. They were scared. They were tired.
Charla Bell was a more deliberate, I can kill someone I don't like. And then I think Zhao Donghai was, at least with the information we have so far, another accidental, messy, animalistic kill. Like this kid seems to be wavering between the states of wanting to have a better hold on themselves, but they don't know how to control these urges yet either. Yeah. I think that's a very interesting idea. So
let's see.
Let's look at our clue list so far. So we have an explanation for Charla Bell being surrounded by milk and sweets. I think originally with the old vampire idea that was a ritualistic thing. I think with the younger thing, maybe that's more of like an insult, like a surrounding them with like maybe Charla, if you ask some kids at school, she had a thing about like you know, taking sweets if you were caught with them, at bringing them to school and like, you know, I don't know, that's just an idea.
It was either like done as like a thing like that, or it was a oh crap, I just killed someone intentionally, I have to hide as much as I can.
Very true, that's an idea. Okay, so we have those two on the board there. Do we want to do anything with go
the
ahead.
gardenia flowers, because that was like an apology of no, well, maybe if it was more ritualistic, maybe it was, if it was more animalistic for the first one, it could have been just a case of like they could feel themselves losing control, and they sent these to Jenny as like a I'm sorry of what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And the small toy wooden Viking ship, because he lost that one and then took Murdock's bear.
Lost a toy. That's great. I'll mark that as used.
Lost a toy, got a new one.
So what do we want to, here's an idea. And Wes and Shelby, if you guys have anything that you guys are particularly like wanting to light up, please go first. Because I have an idea.
I think you can go. I think you can go.
Go ahead.
What do we think about that blood splatter in the shape of a child's nightgown being from where this kid was turned by another vampire?
Okay.
Yes.
Like
that has to be it.
That like you know, they were like caught by a vampire, and like you know, you could like what you said you saw it like behind the school, like through a window.
Yeah, it was like in the reflection of the window, like almost like it was like an echo of something.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay. So then,
Oh man, that means we have another problem on our hands, that there's a vampire turning people.
Maybe.
Who's to say this kid's not even like the big problem, but the start to an even
something to
bigger
consider. That's a cool one. That's a cool. Okay, so we're gonna say that.
I like that.
That's where a site of where this child was murdered and turned into a young vampire. I love that. That's
I think that's pretty good for now.
pretty good for now, unless we wanted to. Yeah, actually, I feel like you want to hold on to those other three. Yeah. All right. Who wants to make the roll for the answer a question move?
What would be the like? Do we get to use an attribute of ours?
Nope,
along
it's
with
just-
that, or-
2d6 plus 1 with all the clues factored.
Oh, I want to be chaotic and ask with my luck to do it, but I also don't want to do mess.
How about, I mean, this feels very personal to Carla, so why don't we have Meg?
It
Why don't you
does,
roll
yeah.
it? Yeah. Why don't you roll it?
I was gonna say. 'Cause
All right.
This feels very personal to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's see. That is a interesting. That's a 7.
A 7.
Ah.
So there's a complication. if I remember
Yes, it
correctly.
is a correct answer. However, I will add an unwelcome complication to the answer, and/or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. I mean, I think I got to lean into the fact that there's an older vampire present.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
There's something
it's
else.
not like, like not like, well, okay, I have to think of how to phrase this, is because like I don't want to have there be a young vampire and this old vampire.
Yes.
Because like that is that's contradictory. What I will say though is an unwelcome complication of the answer or pursuing the opportunity will be more dangerous. I'm trying to think of
I
how
guess
to.
if we're speaking by the technical sense, the vampire in question that we're talking about is the kid, which we're finding is to be a young one. The old vampire is just the complication, maybe the bigger issue that we have to deal with. So I think that could be
More of a sire that we're dealing with, not really answering the question.
It could be the case that we can't deal with that one directly because it's here's an idea. And this is something that's a little bit more maybe tied into what I had intention for Carla. Let's think about the fact that Carla is quite different from this youngster. And we have established based on her mask that she is quite old. So let's think of the fact that maybe perhaps there are different classes of vampires, a sort of true breeding and a more sort of turned.
so like a pure-blooded versus
Something
like phased.
So it could be the case that whatever it is that the quote unquote older one is something far too dangerous or maybe far too old and weak to move on its own, but can send accomplices out. Or has tried to turn the child into making them one of those accomplices.
Which could explain the circle and some of the ritualistic things. Maybe that's why they're collecting 3 of each.
Well, we don't want to
Maybe.
think that's
We don't want to go too far.
we can't
No,
use
no,
that.
I don't want to
No.
go too far, but
Here's
You
what
could
I'm
offer
gonna
an
say.
idea.
I don't want to mechanically introduce an old vampire into this when clearly the whole way is like, how do we deal with a young vampire? I feel like the vampire who turned him his sire has moved on elsewhere. This vampire is not actively in the area, but it's more like that vampire history. Here's a complication I thought of, and I'm open to other ideas, honestly, but I was thinking like,
Okay.
your theory is right. However, the child is going to kill again during this night phase. Like, you know, and
it's been a few days.
it's been a few days. So a side character is going to be in danger of being murdered tonight by the Limehouse Lurker in another kill. I think that's it's a good complication here because you can't resolve this thread yet because you haven't answered. You've unlocked the next question now, I will say. So the question you have there is, what was the child's home life like before they were turned? That has a complexity of 4. You can then, if you answer that, you may resolve the threat by luring the vampire into a scene reminiscent of its home life and then destroying it or making arrangements for it to safely feed on a regular basis. So you have the option of either destroying this vampire or helping them. So but first of all, you have to be able to answer that question.
yeah. Okay. I guess before we dive deep into that next question, whenever that may be, here's a posit. How do you guys feel about bringing another vampire into Hargrave House to learn and to, be in a...
I make no promises.
Curious.
I will.
We'll have to see how it develops. But
that's something to
Well,
consider.
also, I make no promises. Pyrrha is a bitch.
Yeah.
I punched a 9-year-old in the face.
Okay, I'm into this. I'm into this a lot. So let's see. Okay, so I think disclaiming and stakes on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Your answer is correct. It is a young vampire. We've got this great theory for it. The complication being that
It's hungry.
It's due time. It is hungry. It's gonna kill tonight. And you're not gonna be able to stop the to resolve the threat tonight. However, if anyone is so inclined during the night phase, there will be the danger of maybe protecting somebody from murder. But don't feel bound to those decisions. I know if you're already Shelby's like, well, I got this idea. Great. I think that's a great theory. I think we should move on to the dusk phase.
Yes.
All right.
That's a good idea.
So, all right, I need to give you a paint the scene question about Hargrave House.
Oh, yes.
Let's see. I'm gonna go. There's so many good questions here. I love the Hargrave House paint the scene questions. Here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do the dining room. Here's your paint the scene question, hunters. You don't often take meals together, but tonight is an exception. What's on the menu?
Mr. Fontenot?
Mr. Fontenot,
Mr. Fontenot?
you're our cook.
Yeah, so I'll have you know, I'm not going to be partaking into the food because I have plans for this evening, but I have created a patisserie, a full banquet for not only your eyes but your stomach here. What we have is the finest. We've got some oyster. And we've got some oyster and turkey gumbo, as well as a little bit of shrimp etouffee. I've made some homemade boudin balls, as well as a little bit of what we like to call back home a muffaletta, which is just but I've made a small size because I know that some of you cannot handle a sandwich of that magnitude. Then we of course have collard greens, black-eyed peas, mashed potatoes, as well as various other fruits and vegetables. What we like to call finger foods back home in the States, charcuterie, or a little bit of appetizers, as one might say.
So you made my childhood and everything I ate as a child.
Well, look, what can I say?
God, I love Ross Fontenot so much.
I gotta give you, doing a good job. Sound like a true bio boy.
Well, we need a couple more. Everyone's got to contribute here. So, in addition to all of that, what else is on the menu tonight?
Would you like to go?
Yeah, sure. There is a nice selection of fresh bread. Nice fresh bread that has been brought in from the bakery. Normally, it would have not been quite as fresh by this time of the day, but Hargrave House knows how to pull some strings.
There is a selection of really nice wines, some nice reds. Sorry, the alcoholic here needs to talk about the booze that's on the menu. But there's a specific note on the bottom saying that Pyrrha is not allowed to have any.
Oh man, I had something with wine related pertaining to my character, but
Sorry, not sorry.
No. You are a-okay. I promise. But there is this record player in the room with a big, like, one of them big horn things. I forgot what they're called. And wait, would we actually have this at that time? We wouldn't have this at that
Your
time, would we?
records exist yet?
You would have like a gramophone or something.
It
would play a wax cylinder.
Wax cylinder, yeah.
Wax cylinder.
Okay.
Like that. Yes, exactly like that.
Thought so. Yeah, he's the good doctor has a few special ones that he kind of keeps, but he will play one tonight for you guys. He will put on music as he kind of begins to prep himself.
Excellent. I love little dinner scene. You guys obviously come up with your plans. Let's resolve some moves real quick. Mr. Fontenot, gotta do the quickening curse.
Of course.
So as always, roll plus either composure or sensitivity, your choice. Staving off the feral beast within.
That is an 8.
8. Oh, you have to take the condition drained again, as you were just barely keeping it in check. Unless you would like to change your fate by taking a mask, whether one of the freebies or one of your own. Up to you.
Seeing how tonight is a very important evening for Ross, I would not like for him to be drained, so I will put on a mask.
Which one would you like to do? Mask, one of your own masks, or the mask of the Revelry is what it's called, the Cremorne Gardens mask.
I was going to take Mask of Revelry,
Okay.
but there's one mask that I've been wanting to put on Ross for a long time. And
Is it exactly what I think it is?
It is. I think it is exactly what you think it is. I would like to bring out the moss-covered gate.
What is that?
Yes. Read it, please.
Narrate a scene in which you receive a letter from one of your parents urging you to return home. What does the letter say? Then tell the keeper to put the Pinkerton threat into play.
Oh, fuck.
Uh-oh.
Excellent. Do you want to narrate that scene now, or would you like to hold off for a moment?
Let me hold off for a moment.
Sure.
I want
Sure
to think
thing.
about what this letter says.
Absolutely. Dr. Murdock, would you like to engage in night work this evening?
I think you already know what time it is. I think it's time for a little bit of night work.
Dr. Murdock
it's
will
time for a little
not
bit
be
of night
participating during the night phase. He will be doing his own business. And Jordan, you are now solely responsible for narrating the unseen during this night phase. So
Let's
you get to
go.
answer all the prompts. I think except for the paint the scene question. I think you get all. Well, I'm not sure.
I would like to keep the paint the scene question open if that's
as a
okay
group?
for everyone.
Love it. Let's do
And then
that.
I'll take the rest of the unseen if that's okay.
I think that's great. All right, going around again. Same order as we always do, I guess. Say in brief what you would like to do during this upcoming night phase, starting with you, Ross.
Ross Fontenot would love to go grab some dinner with Miss Abigail Robinson and learn so much more about Cremorne Gardens and maybe her father and things of that nature.
I think that is fantastic.
Fantastic. Good thing I have advantage on vitality.
You might need it. Carla.
I'm going down to the docks, and I'm going to be seeking out and... Well, I've claimed this place as my own. Might as well actually fulfill that role.
Fair enough.
Gonna...
All right. Dr. Murdock, you're doing night work. And Pyrrha, what activity are you getting engaged with tonight?
I'd like to go try and intercept this little bastard before it kills
So you
someone
and
else.
Carla will be in the same proximity together, keeping an eye out and looking to stop a murder this evening. I think that's great.
Yep. I'm just specifically lurking, I guess, in back alleys.
Would anyone like to, after hearing everything, would anyone like to revise their statement a little? No? All righty then. This is going to be...
I will say I'm specifically leaving out my window. I'm trying to sneak out.
Absolutely, I love that. All right. I'm going to introduce the unseen. And I have, let's see. I got to do this one. What's interesting is that here's the thing is like since Ross is putting the Pinkerton into play, which I'm very excited about, I'm wondering if that takes up well, here's the thing about like the Pinkerton, for example. it is not limited by the how many threats can be active, because you can only have 3 threats active at one time. The Pinkerton can absolutely exist, like it's a 4th. I'm probably gonna bring 2 threats into play during the day phase, because that one kind of exists outside like the system. So tonight's unseen will be called The Cult of the Pig.
Ooh.
Cult of the Pig.
Here's the setup, and I'll give you the paint the scene question. A secretive cult dedicated to the pagan swine god Moch has gathered in a fashionable salon on this holy night to make offerings to their porcine deity. Paint the scene question. How has this otherwise sumptuously decorated salon been changed to make it a ritual space dedicated to an ancient pagan pig god? And per Jordan's request, we will leave the paint the scene open to everybody, and he will handle the rest after that.
Oh god, I'm on this immediately.
Yeah.
There is, oh god, no, you hit my favorite kind of imagery. There's a crude wooden pole that's been propped up with the body of a pig that's been tied up by its neck to make it sit up. If you've ever played Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, you know what I mean.
I fucking love Amnesia.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yep.
You know exactly what I'm doing. I do.
Go ahead.
There is a child's doll, you know, like that looks like, you know, like a young kid, whose head has been removed and replaced with like the wooden head of a toy pig, and it is currently displayed very prominently on the altar.
Oh my god. The people of these cults all wear finery. You know, they all wear, like, they're definitely upper class, as you can tell. Some might be a little bit middle class. But instead of fine foods of crudité and other kind of finger foods and everything like that, and other foods for them to eat while they're having their ritualistic gathering, Moch demands that you must eat as the swine that you are, so you must feed from a trough. So you see all of these fine foods and wines and other kind of fruits and vegetables and fine food, but it's all just been sloughed together into troughs along the walls of this salon.
Oh, I fucking love that.
Oh, that's very
So
good.
I think that's great.
I think there is a cellar door that sits in the back of the salon. What could have been just a wine cellar or a storage, perhaps. Instead, the door bangs and you can hear scratching from underneath as voices call out from below. They don't exactly sound human, though.
Fantastic. All right. Ross, tell me, how are you dressed for your evening out at Cremorne Gardens with the Simpsons?
I believe Ross is wearing that same violet suit that we saw him wear before. But he's got he's not wearing the bow this time. He's wearing his bolo tie. He's got his boots on, but he's wearing the fur coat over as well, and he's got a nice bowler cap. He has managed his mutton chops, and he has put on. He has found. I'd like to think that he goes into Carla's area, personals area, and just asks a request for a little bit of pheromones or something.
Oh, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Carla and Pyrrha, since you're both engaging in a hunt, how are you two preparing for the evening?
Carla is wearing something very fashionable, very well to put together, but is incredibly much more practical than she has worn in the past weeks at this point. She's not wearing a dress tonight. She is wearing a long coat and pants. which
Excellent.
is very unusual for her.
Kira is trying to dress to blend in as much as possible into dark alleys. Sets up, tries to set up a dummy in her bed, stuffing a bunch of pillows into the blanket. Jimmy's the locks on her windows the way that she knows will open them properly. Just getting ready to, try to leave without being noticed.
Excellent. Okay. Well, then, let us return to the unseen prompt. Jordan, tell us, let's see. Moch demands a sacrifice of riches. What does the cult offer him? Describe the manner of the offering.
So this statue, almost, the pig head kind of, how do I say this? They understand that Mock does not demand monetary value. There is nothing good that can come from money to a pig like this, so why not offer what he is? They offer pigs, they offer meat, they offer things both raw, living, and long since rotten, but everything is just pork, and they display it out on these little pyres in this salon. And when they do so, they just collect it all into a pile and drop it into this fire pit and allow this scent of burning flesh and rotten meat and bone begin to just kind of permeate the air. The smoke begins to fill up the ceiling.
Excellent.
And that's where I will leave that.
Let us return to the Regent's Canal dock. We're in the dark streets of Limehouse. Two of our hunters are engaged with some distance between them. It sounds like you're not together, but you are like sharks in the water, circling your prey from different angles. Harla and Pura, then, what would you two like to do? You have somebody you don't know who, I'd say, is going to die. So, what are you looking to accomplish? Either one of you can go first. It sounds like, by the way, I should actually add, it sounds like specifically Shelby, you're angling to be like, I want to stop this vampire from harming someone myself. And it sounds like, Meg, you are more doing like, I want to find what's going on. So it sounds like kind of like an in tandem thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Pyrrha's actually out it sounds like Pyrrha's out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Pyrrha's out in the danger, while Carla is taking a safer approach.
She's taking a safer approach, but definitely from the perspective of what's going on here? Who is this child, and can I intercept them as someone older, as someone more in control?
Okay. Here's what I'll say. It sounds like an angle for you, Carla, would be doing this as an information, because like it sounds like you're looking.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything particularly risky. You're trying to find more so an angle here. I think that's actually. I think that's a great thing. And it sounds like Pyrrha is going to be the one to like get in and actually like strike when the need arises. So go ahead and let's see. It sounds like you're doing this with your great concentration. Like you're focusing very hard. I'm just gonna check your sheet very quickly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, let's have you roll an information move plus your composure. I think unwelcome reminiscence is gonna get in the way of this.
That's fair.
So with disadvantage.
No shit. I rolled a 6 and 2 5s.
Amazing.
Yo, what?
So that's a flat 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We will resolve that obviously in the next round. But I'm going to actually add some like contextualizing for on behalf of Pura what she's looking to do here. In addition, let's see. I'm trying to think how to actually structure this real quick. I think here's what we'll say. This is not going to be the clue. This will be the I think I'm going to choose which side character is going to be on the chopping block tonight, as it were. Let's see. Honestly, why not? Let's go with Lauren Chesterfield, the school headmaster. Seems to be on the chopping block tonight. All right. And so, with that in mind, I will ask Pyrrha, what is your attempted action? Or so, like, if we know roughly like where this vampire is going to strike, are you looking to fight the vampire off or intercede them and before, like, you know, and like get to them before they get to where they're hoping to go?
Be honest, kind of feel like she's probably trying to intercept it to fight it off. She's in a very angry mood.
Excellent.
I'm a very violent woman, so
okay, I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, then. And Meg, remind me, you said, were you hoping to intercede with the child yourself too, or just kind of get a feeling for where it was going to go?
I think she's intending to try and see it, but she's definitely more along the lines of like trying to find the child to get information out of it, as opposed to try and necessarily stop it. That's
Sure.
what Pyrrha's for.
Yes, so I'll say that you will see it. You'll get something, a clue from watching it leap across the London streets. And then I'll say, Pyrrha, you're going to make a dogged attempt to fight it off out here in the night. As you also see it leap between rooftops, crawling along walls, ducking through shadows. Why don't you go ahead? It sounds like you're wanting to fight this thing. You're the only class, or playbook I should say, who gets to fight supernatural creatures with vitality. So why don't you roll this is gonna be a night move plus your vitality. You have 3 conditions. I think they absolutely get in the way of this roll, so it will be at disadvantage.
no, it won't, because I want to click off one of my things for my weapon.
Yes, you do. Then you get
Gotta
to
Belmont this bitch.
You got to modify it.
Actually, yes, I'm going to Belmont.
Vampire killer time!
Fuck! Let's
So
go.
good. So
I
good.
would like to use one of my my personal quarters, and take,
right.
for the audience who doesn't know, I have a like to Jordan, I have a long silver chain whip with a morning star on the end.
Incredible.
If you're a Castlevania fan, you know exactly what I have.
Absolutely, the Belmont whip. I think that's great. So then this will be a flat roll. So do your 2d6 plus your vitality, and we will resolve the action next round.
That's a 12, baby. That means it's a 14.
Oh, well,
with
of
my
course.
fucking
Thank God.
vitality.
We broke.
Oh my god.
I mean, obviously this.
Broke the curse!
Obviously, this succeeds. I forgot to even ask you, like, what are you afraid of happening here? But I think it was very clear what you were afraid of happening here.
I was afraid of dying.
And it was worse than that because it would also kill the headmaster. There you go. It's simple as that. But a 14. That is incredible. I love that. Okay, we'll resolve that next round. And your information move again was a 10, Carla, or what was it?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
No. Yes, it was a flat 10.
Thought 10. All right. Before we do anything else, let's jump over to something completely different in London. Mr. Fontenot, you attend Cremorne Gardens this late evening, and what a beauty Cremorne Garden is at night. The central pagoda, the dancing platform, is absolutely crammed with revelers. Hundreds of lanterns glowing overhead, a dance floor scuffed by 1,000 shoes. take it you want to go dining, so you're not dancing. So we'll go over to the banquet hall, which is attended by waiters in tailored black livery. Dazzlingly white tablecloths adorn everything, and there are stacks of fine crystal goblets next to enormous casks of wine. And you find yourself at a table with Abigail Simpson, of course, and her father, Thomas Simpson. This nervous but excitable gentleman, pert mustache, thinning hair on top, and he stands, very nervously, kind of like goes to like shake your hand, and he says, you must be Mr. Fontenot, was it?
Bonsoir, Mr. Robinson. Yes, Grappling Ross Fontenot at your services. You can call me Ross, Mr. Fontenot, whatever you prefer, sir. Pleasure to meet you.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. I must say, I don't get many, requests for dinner time. My daughter here said that you stopped by earlier, asking about, this ridiculous fishman story, frankly speaking. But, a man of your bearing is certainly unique in these parts. Please, have a seat.
Of course. No, yes, your daughter took me on quite the loveliest tour, one of the best I've been on. And I'll tell you, I've been to most of the museums around here in London, and I think that was probably the best museum tour I've ever been on. And I've just been enraptured with the gardens here, especially with these tales of a fish man running around. Sounds quite ridiculous.
He seems annoyed. Abigail is just kind of like rolls her eyes. And Abigail just makes a comment. She does say like, indeed, yes. It was. I'm glad that you enjoyed Cremorne Gardens. We are certainly striving to make it something of note here in London. My father has had a number of ambitious ideas, certainly looking to rival that of even Vauxhall Gardens. And immediately, like, Thomas cuts in and says, certainly Vauxhall Gardens was a spectacle in its day. I myself spent some time there before they sadly closed, but our vision for Cremorne Gardens is much more ambitious. Did you know, Mr. Fontenot, that our dancing platform can accommodate up to 4,000 people?
Well, that's quite a few people up there shaking their tushes and kicking and stepping, I'd say.
Do you, if you don't mind my asking, are you a wealthy man, Mr. Fontenot?
Well, I've got a certain joie de vivre about me, I'd say.
Well, I'm always looking for interesting new exhibits. You seem to have, a bearing like that of a frontiersman. You see any strange or interesting things? Perhaps you'd be willing to, take on a bit of a show gig. Do you do tricks?
Well, they don't call me Grappling Ross for nothing, Mr. Robinson. I'll tell you that much.
I see. Ross, I'll ask you, what are you looking to get from these folks again?
I am very much looking to get as much information as I can about the gardens, or to see what's going on, to see if there actually is a fish person. But also, I'm trying to make a connection with, if not a business connection with Mr. Robinson, a more personal connection with Abigail Robinson as well. That is a side thing that I'm trying to go for.
Excellent. I'm going to say something else is going to happen first. On this night phase. Unfortunately, I'll take the reins there.
Of
you
course.
You have like a nice interview, you talk, you chat it up. And Thomas says, well, Mr. Fontenot, thank you for the company. Before we adjourn, would you like to take a walk about the promenade, and we can discuss in the open air?
Of course, yeah. It's a bit time before I go fight a do. So, I'd say I got some time to walk in me if of course, Abigail's going to be joining us.
I can accompany you before I make my way off to bed, yes. She'll accompany you. Going outside, here's what is going to happen, Ross. You are walking along the promenade, make your way down kind of by the waterfront. You see all like the piers, the docks, just kind of talking with, so I'm just getting to know them, getting acquainted with them. When piercing through the air, almost like a foghorn, is this sad, ethereal song that begins to echo and wash across the harbor from a distance. You see that some people like don't even notice it, but there are people like, you know, you barely even hear it. Your heightened senses are catching this, and like Abigail and Thomas don't even seem to hear. Like they are just, it's too far away, and your ears are much more attuned to them. However, your keen eyes, which I will say probably even are quite good at seeing in the dark, you spot a gentleman down by the docks who seems to be like they're sitting in a trance, and they're walking towards the edge of the pier like they're about to throw themselves into the water.
Mr. Robinson, Abigail, gotta be about a couillon to think I could have a normal night to myself. It has been a lovely evening. I am so glad to make your acquaintance. Mr. Robinson, I'm sure that we will talk more about business, maybe bring Grappling Ross to your fine.
Oh, yes, I'd love to talk about business first thing in the morning if you have the time.
I will make the time for you, of course. Abigail, I hope I do get to see you again, maybe on a more private rendezvous if I do not seem to overstep.
She kind of like has a flat expression, and she goes, no, she doesn't know how to respond. She like flusters for a moment. I'm gonna say that you're already out of there before she even responds. Like,
yeah. He just like turns around. You see him.
I'm gonna ask you to do night move plus vitality.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you're sprinting to go save this guy.
Exactly. You can see he's taking the fur coat off and then tossing it.
What are you afraid of happening here?
I'm afraid that I'm going to see somebody get murdered right in front of me, and nobody's going to fucking notice it but me, and I'm going to look like a damn fool for jumping into the water for no reason.
Might be worse than that. People might think that you pushed him in.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. You're right. That would be pretty bad. That would be pretty awful.
Yeah. So, are you sure you wish to embark and run and save this man's life?
I am going to go and save this man's life.
That's going to be a night move plus your vitality advantage, obviously. And yep. Alrighty, go ahead and give us the roll.
Okay. 9.
There will be a complication. All right, we'll resolve that.
Yes.
But returning to the cult of the pig, Jordan, Moch demands a sacrifice of status. What does the cult offer him? Describe the manner of the offering.
As Ross's feet begin to pick up and make pace, you kind of see the camera fade as the pitter-patter of feet change to smaller, more juvenile ones. We are back in the salon. We are back in the salon as there sits an older man in front of this crucified pig. He himself is adorned with a pig head on top of him, like a mask. The small pitter-patter of feet is a child that was brought in. When the child enters the room, it runs up to the pig statue and embraces it as if it were a family member. It is promptly then pulled away and placed in front of the older figure wearing the head. The older figure kneels down, sits to become eye level with the child as they take this mask off. And the child looks into his eyes, and then he looks into the child's, as the child is then given a knife. The child, not really sure what exactly to do, looks to the old man and then looks behind him to the pig head, and for a moment there is silence. They are staring, almost like the child understands, almost like he hears it speak to him. And without a word, he looks forward to the older man, embraces him like a family member as well, and then promptly begins to stab him over and over and over again. Blood pools the floor like water as the older man then collapses after about 2 minutes. They then take the pig head and place it over the new boy. Everyone in the room gets to their knees and bows before the new leader.
Incredible. Jumping back to London, let's see. So first, you, Carla, the results you rolled a 10, which I think is a great way to get a clue. We'll have this be that this will be a little, this one's a little obvious, but it seems to be the best one I can grab. There is a big old a thick swarm of bats that circles the Limehouse School at night, almost in anticipation. And you rolled a 10, so I'm also gonna say that you do spot like a young childlike form hopping, leaping, running hungrily, but you also see another shape doggedly in pursuit of this shape, which is your companion, Miss Rivia. So Pyrrha, you rolled a 14. What the fuck? So you do what you intend here, which means you get to describe what happens here, like describe what it looks like as you catch the lurker and fight him off and scare him away. Additionally, you get some extra benefit or advantage of my choosing. I'm gonna think on that for a minute, but go ahead and start tell us what happens here.
So natural. It's as if she had, well, no, actually, it's because that she has known nothing but fighting these kinds of creatures her entire life. It's as natural as breathing, the way that she scales these walls, hops these roofs, chasing this creature as if she knows what move it's gonna do before it does. There's just one harsh crack as you see the silver whip that pretty sure she mostly just keeps on her wall. Fact she brought that here says something. And gonna add a little flavor to the whip. The end of the whip is smoking.
Oh, that's fantastic.
As there is incense that have been lit that probably don't smell the greatest to you, Carla.
Not the greatest. That's why I'm over here and not up there.
And it's just one crack, and I am aiming to hurt this vampire. I am not pulling kid gloves like I did with Roger.
Absolutely. You make a savage whip. Yeah, describe what this looks like as you harm the Limehouse Lurker, this young vampire. What happens when it does so?
The Morning Star just makes a really hard hit to the side of the neck, where it's been not only now cracked with hard silver, but now these incense have exploded all over from the facial area of this young vampire.
I think your added benefit there is going to be, I'm going to remove your altered senses condition. There is a great clarity that comes with the thrill of the hunt. And also, the Limehouse Lurker hisses and screeches and cries, but will abandon its course and slink off into the shadows, escaping your grasp, but saving the life of someone on this evening. Mr. Fontenot, you run fast. And your roll was a 9, you said?
It was a 9 indeed.
A 9 indeed. Let me double check something very quickly. You will get it with a complication. I'm gonna say that you book it. And this is a night move, so I'm just double checking something real quick here. Not clear with the complication, I know what I'm talking about. Night move, 7-9. I tried what it looks like there's a complication or a cost. Okay. You pelt down the roadway, making your way towards this pier, and you sprint after this man who's getting very close to the edge of the dock, ready to just throw himself into the water. And you basically throw yourself hard at the last second against the wooden timbers of the dock, to skid across the wood, your outfit be damned, and grab at the ankles of this man and drag him back on land right before he throws himself over, getting himself out of his stupor. I'm going to give you the condition scraped and splintered.
Got it.
That feels appropriate. But you pull him back and seem to snap him out of his reverie. Let's see something real quick here. And this man who is tall, broad-shouldered, great unkempt blonde beard, and as he opens his mouth, just the thickest fucking Swedish accent you've ever heard. He just like, what happened? He just is like coughing and sputtering, like uncertain, like looking at you as like, what is going on?
Are you okay?
I don't know if it. What? And
There's something that was out there that wanted to get you, and you're going to, and kind of show off that we know the quickening is in effect and everything like that. Ross, who has like moved this guy, is on his belly, and he's kind of like looks out to the water, and you can hear like a low rumbling in his like chest and his stomach. And he goes, "There's something out there that was trying to get you." The song, you heard it, right?
I did. And we're gonna cut away from there for now. We're gonna return to the last prompt on the unseen for the evening. Jordan, Moch demands a sacrifice of blood. What does the cult offer him? Describe the manner of the offering.
The cult stands in a circle. They stand in a circle around this figure. The statue, again, remains in the middle, crucified, beautiful to the onlookers, as the boy, steps forward and asks it what it wants. And for the first time, everyone in the room, not just the boy, can hear it speak. It speaks with this disgusting rattle, almost otherworldly. There's a small rumbling from the beast itself, and it begins to shake and sputter as it speaks.
You have given me my riches. You have given me my status. Now I demand your blood. Make your choice.
And the boy steps back, almost in a bit of a shock, but looks around the room, again, understanding what he has to do. He picks one from the crowd and points. Everyone else grabs this person as they pull him forward and brings him down to his knees. The boy steps to replace his position from the circle. As the body of this crucified pig begins to move, it breaks hold from the bindings that were keeping it at bay. It crawls forward. Black, almost ink-like viscous fluid begins to sputter from its various orifices, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, as it approaches the man who has gotten on his knees and bowing forward, trembling, fearful for what is about to happen. This is the first time in 75 years that this has happened, and they are doing it again to stave off Mock for another 75. They open the hatch in the back. These hellish screens begin to open just through absolute black darkness. No one can see what's inside as the pig grabs this victim by their hands, crushing them with insurmountable strength, and then pulls them in. And as the hatch closes, there is just silence. The screaming stops. The clawing, the scratching, the beating of wood stops. It is just silent. And everyone breathes a sigh of relief.
Let us finish up this night phase with some denouement, some wrap-ups, and then we'll conclude our chapter of the Between with some dusk phase bookkeeping. So as the first touches of light begin to rise over Limehouse as the sunset is nearing the sunrise, I should say. Carla and Pyrrha, yeah. Let's wrap up the hunt this evening. You have protected the neighborhood of Limehouse for the evening. Here's a little scene. Like I assume you two kind of like rejoin kind of as like the light is rising over London, and like what happens here?
Carla takes off her hat and kind of looks over the schoolhouse. It won't do anything. You can't kill a vampire like that.
How do you kill them then?
Like any other. Stake to the heart, find its coffin if it's got one.
Well, then I'll have to get to whittling when we get back home.
Just keep it away from me.
Don't worry. Won't be coming near you. Didn't expect to run into you out here. I wouldn't have taken this out with me. I know it kind of makes you uneasy.
I know what I am. I know what you are. It's nothing personal.
You're not out here slaughtering people, so as far as I'm concerned, you're not the problem.
It's young and it's scared. It's been a long time since I've seen one yet that young and that scared.
Rabid dogs need to be put down.
True enough.
I can at least promise I can make it quick for the thing if it's gonna bother you.
We'll see. There might be something I can do.
If there isn't, I have a family obligation. It has to die.
We drove out to the property.
I have no true leaning one way or the other. It's not one of mine.
Good. Then you probably won't be angry when I just go ahead and kill it. They don't really like it when I don't
We'll see.
do what I'm supposed to.
We'll see.
Come on, let's go get back to the others.
Excellent. And I'm so sorry, Pyrrha. I forgot that about your new cosmic passage should have been taking effect earlier, because that happens during the dusk phase.
Was it? Oh yeah, flip.
No, totally okay. Hey, we'll remember it next time.
Yeah. I do have a question though. Would soaked in blood have triggered, considering I did just attack a
gratuitous
figure
violence?
of a
Yeah,
child?
no, I'll allow it. You may remove all psychological or emotional conditions. So yeah, you may just remove. You can remove
Anxious.
You can remove anxious. You can't remove most beloved, and you may increase your hunt X by 1.
No, sorry, guys.
Great. And then we're gonna go over to Cremorne Gardens now. Mr. Fontenot, you have saved the life of this handyman, Sven Anderson, who is in a bit of a daze, but also a similar situation for you. As the sun rises over London once more, what's going on in your head? What is how do you wrap up your evening?
I think Ross is frustrated, but he's intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
More so, seeing that there's definitely something going on, and it's not just a complete hoax. He's glad that there's something going on.
Well, I will add, just for the sake of possible theorizing in the future, one could say that this song might only have power as a mass hysteria kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if it is real, then it's real for sure. Just kind of like, there is the possibility of either.
That's going on.
Yeah.
Ross is going to, he typically doesn't like to, but he is going to make his way back to Limehouse, and he is going to go to a brothel/opium den, and he is going to muse and stew and get out pent up frustrations. but
Excellent
still
way to end the evening.
thinking about that song. Can't get it out of his head.
Excellent way to the end of the evening. Well, with all that said and done, Jordan, thank you so much for taking over the unseen. Now, you tell me, as we enter the dawn phase, actually, we'll get to that in just a second. Hold on to that thought. All right, we have no threats were resolved. Let's answer dawn questions. Going down with you, Ross. You did answer a question, so you may check off that one. Did Ross experience an echo in the night?
Ross did experience an echo in the night with the footsteps of the child matching up with the footsteps of him.
Did you make that echo in the night, or did Jordan make that echo in the night? I thought Jordan narrated the footsteps.
Jordan narrated the footsteps.
Yes.
I meant it to. Wait, I tried to make it an echo in the night for Ross.
I thought.
Is that how it works, or?
Well, no, yeah. You experience an echo in the night if you introduce the element for yourself.
Okay.
Okay. It can't just be included. Got it.
Jordan, you technically have an echo. Well, no, actually, no. You have Jordan has an echo in the night because you were echoing something that was happening with Ross. So that's what that's what you get that.
So Jordan gets that. Yes.
Did you share a treasured memory from the States during an intimate moment with another character, Ross?
I did.
Yes, check that off.
Yep.
Did you have a raw, passionate sexual encounter where your feral nature manifested? I don't think so.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, we could have if we had just smoked a little more, but maybe next time.
Not yet. We're getting there.
Mark 2 XP.
Perfect.
Jordan, for Dr. Murdock, you answered a question, so you get that one.
Yep.
Echo in the Night, you did get that one. Did you have a conversation with the child while no one was watching this session?
Not yet.
Not
no.
yet. That's okay. Did you dismiss the possibility of a supernatural explanation despite everything you've experienced?
Not today.
Not today.
No.
Mark 2. Still pretty decent. Carla, question. Did you get an echo in the night?
You could argue that she brought up the child's toy during the paint the scene. Like the child's toy echoing the children's toy that was used in the...
I'll allow it.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll be a little flexible there. I'll allow that one. Did you create an ornate over-the-top erotic experience? I do not believe you did.
Nope.
Did you secretly show a vulnerable side? I think you did.
I think I did.
So you may mark 3. Excellent. And
that's another advancement for me.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
Boy.
Damn!
And then Pyrrha, you did answer a question, so that's 1. Did you experience?
I did.
Did you experience an echo in the night?
I don't think I did.
Okay, that's all right. Did you try to go unnoticed in a public space? I believe you did.
Yeah.
Stalk in the docks.
Yep.
And did you revel? And you also didn't want to meet with the sailor who was in the alleyway. And did you revel in the thrill of the hunt? Yes. So that's 3 XP marked. Not bad for you. Almost another advancement.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see. You may all in the intervening week choose a new dawn questions for yourself if you'd like. Start with you, Dr. Murdock, for resolving your night work. Which 3 from the list would you like to take?
I was thinking about it a little bit, but I think we're gonna go with. We'll go with the head, torso, and arms. The guts need a place to be. The hands need a place to connect, and we might as well finish the first half.
Wow. Okay. We will start, I think, the next episode with a little narration on the flashbacks relative to those body parts. So we'll hold off on that for now, but do that at the start of next session. Excellent. Mr. Fontenot, your quickening is over. Excellent. And I think the only thing that needs left to be resolved is Ross. Give us this letter flashback, or this letter scene.
It is very early in the morning. Ross is stumbling back home, singing "My Flag Boy, Told Your Flag Boy," sitting by the fire to himself. And he bumps into a mail carrier. The mail carrier says, "Oi, which way you going there, sir? Pardon me. You're the tall American bloke from inside Hargrave House, eh? That's me. And he hands over a small envelope that has perfect handwriting from one side onto it. That is from New York City, specifically Manhattan. And it has it's addressed to a Mr. Fontenot of Hargrave House. Ross looks at the address and then narrows his eyes at it and says, "Thank you," and pushes his way past the mail person and quickly takes his key, and his hands are shaking, and he opens up the door, slams the door, and stomps up to his room, probably waking somebody up, that one of the other hunters that lives in the house. And he slams the door, and he throws his fur coat on a chair, and he takes his hat off and he tosses it into a corner, and he goes over to a wash basin. You see him wipe his hair, he wipes his face, and he's just looking at this envelope. And he goes and he takes off his suspenders and he takes off his shirt, and you can see there's like tattoos and there's a bunch of scars all on his back and his arms and everything. Looks like he's been clawed at, bitten, things of that nature. And he puts his suspenders back on, and he goes at this envelope and he looks at it. And he looks at the wash basin, and he looks at his table lighter that he has for when he smokes in his room, like a monster. And for a moment, he holds up the letter, and he's about to click it on, and then he tosses the lighter across the room, and he rips open the envelope.
And what does the letter say, Mr. Fontenot?
My dearest Julius, it has been many years since me and your father have seen your precious face, and we wonder every day and each day that passes if we may see you again. It took us some time to find where you had gone. You led us on quite the merry chase, even using the name of our dreadful groundskeeper, Ross. Julius, your father is sick, and I plead for you to come home. I will use any and all means to find you.
I think on that exact note, unless you had more to read.
There's a postscript.
Read it. I want to hear it.
Yeah. It says, any and all means to find you. I love you. Signed, your mother, Amelie.
Excellent.
And then postscript. If you take your time and decide on wasting ours, there shall be somebody to come and fetch you. Toot sweet.
I think we will end this evening's episode on a little scene that I will narrate now. A boat on this fine London morning arrives at harbor, drops the gangplank, seeing people from America or in other distant parts off and bounding into the streets, and one gentleman in particular steps off the boat, a squat, stout man with a mean, square-jawed face, wearing a charcoal three-piece suit, a red bow tie, and a billycock, smoking at a cigar, pulls from his mouth, looks over the streets of London, a revolver pistol strapped under his coat, smiles, tucks the cigar back in his mouth, and begins to saunter down the streets of London. The Pinkerton has arrived. And that is where we will bring this evening's chapter of The Between to a close. Hunters, thank you so much. Distinguished guests, thank you for watching. And we will see you next week for even more of The Between. Until then, sleep well and rest easy. for the night is dark and full of terrors. Good night.